Chapter 416. Just now, Ling Xiao had been seriously injured by the old woman's palm strike, and many of his muscles had been seriously damaged. If it weren't for the protection of the blue demon flame, which gave the old woman some consideration, he would have been a corpse by now. Seeing the old woman's world of darkness once again push forward, Ling Xiao felt powerless. He tried his best to recover his body, but he still didn't have enough energy, and he couldn't condense his spiritual force to attack. It's over. These resentful spirits are too terrifying. No wonder no one has been able to walk out of here alive in the past 10,000 years. I'm afraid that only an emperor-level super expert can leave here unscathed. Ling Xiao's back was already drenched, and he knew that he no longer had any cards up his sleeve to reverse the situation. The blue flood dragon was his biggest reliance, but even it had been seriously injured, and the difference in strength was too great. Just as Ling Xiao was in despair, Xian Yao's voice rang out. Flickering light sweeping shadow formation? Activate. Suddenly, rows of pure and flawless light curtains descended from the sky, and the surroundings instantly became pure white. The white light rumbled like lightning. The sound of this white light was very loud, especially like spring thunder. However, this white light didn't feel the slightest pain when it hit someone's body. Instead, it gave them an indescribable feeling of comfort. The surrounding resentful spirits and the old woman in the center of the white light let out the most mournful screams. Woo-woo! The old woman was submerged by the white light, and before she was submerged, the black curtain she had evolved had already disappeared, leaving only a panicked expression on her face. It was unknown how long the white light had been bombarding her, but finally, it slowly faded and returned to normal. There was no damage to the ground, and the few people who had survived were also not injured in the slightest. However, the surrounding resentful spirits had already disappeared, and the old woman seemed to have disappeared with the white light. As the white light disappeared, Kai Xiayue instantly arrived at Ling Xiao's side, supporting him, and asked with a heartache, "Husband, how are you?" Her eyes were filled with tears, and she only felt that the injuries on Ling Xiao's body were on her body, making her very worried. Ling Xiao grinned. Don't touch me. I'll be fine soon." Regardless of whether Ling Xiao was sitting or lying down, he could still circulate the profound technique in his body. In addition, he had consumed a high-level healing pellet before healing his injuries, so it only took a bit of time for his body to recover again. This was also the miraculous part of the ancient Emperor Divine Arts. Now only Ling Xiao, Kai Xiayue, Xian Yao, Poison Scorpion, Demon Emperor, and Nangong Lai were left alive. Nangong Lai arrived in front of Ling Xiao, cupped his hands and said, "Master Ling, please rest here first. I will look around." Nangong Lai thought about the mission from 15 years ago. He had to find the Heaven Gu Divine Art, and although he also wanted the Heaven Gu Divine Cauldron in front of him, he did not want to snatch it away. After all, the person who killed the old woman was not him, but the other young man beside Ling Xiao. He admired Ling Xiao's abilities and was also grateful to Ling Xiao for giving him the hallucination-breaking potion, which allowed him to survive in the Gu City until now. He was not the kind of person who would forget kindness and forsake righteousness at the sight of profit. Just as Nangong Lai was about to rush towards the ruins of the building, soul energy actually condensed in the world again. "Be careful. She hasn't completely disappeared," Xian Yao shouted at Nangong Lai. This time, everyone panicked, and Nangong Lai retreated once again. In front of the ruins, the old woman's appearance once again appeared. However, her current situation was no longer as solid as before. She only appeared to be in the state of a phantom. It seemed that the floating light sweeping shadow formation had already consumed a large amount of her soul power. Just as everyone was about to attack the old woman again, the small cauldron floated in midair. Suddenly, the small cauldron released thousands of rays of golden light, and a small goo worm jumped out of it. The eyes of the goo worm flickered, and its body actually swelled up in an instant. 1 meter, 2 meters, 3 meters. In just a moment, it actually turned into a large worm that was more than 10 meters tall. Its golden body was abnormally noble, like the emperor of the insects, shocking the few people in front of it. The gold goo worm protected the old woman in front of it, staring at the few people, as if it would immediately swallow them into its stomach and become its food if anything abnormal happened. Nangong Lai and Ling Xiao looked at the gold goo worm and felt their scalps go numb. Just now in the world of darkness, they had seen with their own eyes that the gold goo worm had swallowed a large number of poisonous creatures one by one. Now that it had revealed its true body, the powerful pressure made them unable to move. This pressure was actually not weaker than the blue flood dragon, and it seemed to be even more terrifying. Apart from Ling Xiao, the others looked at the gold goo worm and let out a horrifying cry. It's the gold silkworm goo! The gold silkworm goo was the most powerful and primitive of all the goo worms, and it was the emperor of all the goo worms. Legend has it that in ancient times, when humans were first born, the beasts dominated the continent, and the divine beasts were the supreme rulers. All the divine beasts ruled over a region, and then a rare mutated beast appeared, wanting to compete with the divine beasts and divide the land to be the emperor. At that time, all kinds of powerful mutated beasts displayed their terrifying tenbin, challenging the dignity of the divine beasts. Among them, there was a powerful mutated beast called the gold silkworm goo, which displayed supreme power and battle power, and fought evenly with the divine beasts. Finally, it obtained a remote area as a place for its goo worm to live. According to legend, the gold silkworm goo was a mutation of the bloodline of the sky silkworm king and the goo worm king. It had the magical power of the two kinds of spiritual beasts at the same time, and it was a rare ancient mutated beast. With the passing of time, the bloodline of this ancient mutated beast became thinner and thinner. Until the ancient times, the gold silkworm goo had already become a legend, and it had never appeared again. Of course, they had never seen this kind of ancient mutated beast before, but they had a slight understanding of it from some ancient books. After all, Kai Xiaoyu, Poison Scorpion, and Nangong Lai were all people who grew up in the southern wasteland, and the Demon Emperor and Shen Yao had special identities, so it was not surprising that they could recognize this gold silkworm goo. The gold silkworm goo was different from other spiritual beasts. Normally, spiritual beasts would be able to speak human language when they reached the 7th rank, and its aura was obviously at the 7th rank, but it could not swallow human language. Therefore, it could be confirmed that the gold silkworm goo in front of them was still in its growth stage, and it could not be considered a mature gold silkworm goo. A mature gold silkworm goo would have silkworm wings on its back, be able to speak human language, and take human form. The lifespan of the gold silkworm goo was very long. Each stage of growth required 5,000 years of evolution, which was 5,000 years of infancy, 5,000 years of maturity, and 10,000 years of maturity before becoming a mature gold silkworm goo emperor. However, no matter what stage it was, the gold silkworm goo had the power to command the heavenly silkworms and goo worms in the world. It was the supreme emperor of these two spiritual beasts. Who are you? An incomparably weak voice sounded from the side of the gold silkworm goo. Everyone was stunned, and their pupils constricted. This was clearly the voice of the old woman. They were all stunned. When had they heard that a resentful spirit could also make a sound? The demon emperor faintly said, "Your soul is still here?" The demon emperor was also a remnant soul that had been reborn. He might have already guessed that this old woman should be different from the resentful spirit from before, and should be in a similar state as his soul before. The old woman indifferently said, "I'm long gone. I'm just a wisp of will before I die, and I'll disappear very soon. Which one of you can tell me how the descendants of my goo race are doing now? Have they been exterminated by those beasts?" The old woman's voice was still filled with a strong sense of hatred. Nangong Lai came back to his senses and replying to old senior, "The goo race was exterminated 10,000 years ago. God damn it, the children of my goo race actually, the old woman lamented. Shen Yao spoke up from the side, "Old senior, there's no need to be sad. Your clansmen haven't been completely exterminated, and there are still quite a number of them living in this world. It's just that they can only live in a remote corner and don't dare to come out rashly for fear of causing a disaster." "Really?" the old woman exclaimed. "Absolutely," Shen Yao replied, then pointed at Ling Xiao and asked, Have you seen him? The old woman was puzzled and asked, What about him? He's your clan's priest, Grandpa Fu Ma. He's specially ordered by the high priest to find the Gu race's 2 sacred treasures, Xian Yao said solemnly. The old woman's gaze landed on Ling Zhao's upper body, and her expression was filled with doubt. Senior, if you don't believe me, you can search this junior's memories. He is indeed your clan's current Grandpa Fu Ma, Xian Yao continued. All right, I'll see if he's my clan's Grandpa Fu Ma, the old woman replied, then turned into a black mist and entered Xian Yao's consciousness. Be careful, don't let her take over your body. The demon emperor couldn't help but cry out. However, Xian Yao didn't move and allowed the black mist to enter his consciousness. Xian Yao was like an old monk in meditation, while the others were all secretly guessing and all revealed vigilant expressions. After a while, the black mist flew out again and formed into the old woman's appearance. She laughed loudly. Good, good. My clan's child is still alive. He's still alive. The heavens are truly blessing my clan. Xian Yao sat on the ground as if he had been freed from the void, and asked with difficulty, Senior, do you believe me now? Yes, I believe you, the old woman replied, and her image became much fainter. She then turned to Ling Xiao and said, Child, can you still get up? I have something to say to you. Ling Xiao heard the old woman's call and knew that the old woman in front of him was no longer a terrifying, resentful spirit, so he struggled to get up. His face was extremely pale as he said, Say, Senior, please speak. The old woman's image was already becoming fainter and fainter, and she vaguely glanced at the people beside her. The few of them tactfully retreated. The old woman floated in front of Ling Xiao and closed her eyes slightly. After a while, she opened her eyes, and an incomparably powerful pressure sent Ling Xiao flying. She then said sternly, You, how dare you lie to me? If you were a vassal of my Gu clan, how could you not have my clan's sacred object? I'll devour you. The old woman had just entered Xian Yao's memory and knew that the female priest in Guzhai City had been summoned as a vassal. She also knew from Xian Yao's image that Ling Xiao had been summoned as a vassal. However, when she approached Ling Xiao, she did not sense the aura of her Gu clan in Ling Xiao's body. In other words, there was no love Gu in Ling Xiao's body, so she definitely did not successfully become a vassal to Ling Xiao. At this moment, she was furious and wanted to devour Ling Xiao's soul. Ling Xiao was in danger. Chapter 417. Ling Xiao had just recovered a little from his injuries, but now he was back to his original state. He felt indescribably depressed. Back then, he hadn't been willing to be controlled by others. He had stayed in Gu City for 3 months before advancing to a 4th-grade alchemist. He had refined the vital organ restoring pill and reconstructed his organs. At the same time, he had gotten rid of the love Gu in his body. Thus, he didn't have the aura of a Gu clan member, which was why the old woman had misunderstood him. Seeing the old woman turn into a ball of mist and enter his mind, Ling Xiao instantly summoned the blue demon flame to protect his body. The old woman knew how powerful the heavenly flame was, so she immediately stopped and retreated. Brat, even if you have the heavenly flame protecting you, you won't be able to escape death, the old woman cursed. Then she ordered the golden silkworm Gu to kill Ling Xiao. At this moment, Ling Xiao took out something and showed it to the old woman. He said with difficulty, Senior, please take a look. A token appeared in Ling Xiao's hand. It was a very old token, made of a rare material that looked like jade or iron. There was a statue of a Gu insect engraved on the front of the token, and under the image of the insect, there were 2 indecipherable characters of the alien race. The old woman instantly stopped and stared blankly at the token. Her expression became somewhat blank, as if she was trying hard to recall something. After a moment, the old woman seemed to recall something, and her expression became sincere. She crossed her arms in front of her chest and muttered something to the token that Ling Xiao couldn't understand. Ling Xiao didn't know what the old woman was doing. He took out 2 more pills and stuffed them into his mouth, once again recovering at full speed. He was about to die from the repeated injuries. Fortunately, his life was like that of an undying cockroach. He still had a breath left, so he wouldn't die for the time being. However, he had to quickly recover. Otherwise, he really didn't know if the old woman would attack him again. The old woman stopped murmuring and looked at Ling Xiao with a different expression than before. "Who gave you this medallion?" Ling Xiao said with difficulty. It's the high priest grandpa who gave it to me." Before Ling Xiao left Gu City, the high priest had given him a spatial ring. Other than some spirit herbs, there was also a jade tube. When Ling Xiao found the Heaven Gu divine art, he could crush the jade tube and the high priest would naturally rush over. Other than the spirit herbs and the jade tube, there was also this token. At that time, the high priest did not explain the function of this token. He only told him that if he wanted to return to Guzhai City in the future, he only needed to show the token. Ling Xiao felt that this token should be his pass to Guzhai City or proof of his identity in the Gu race. Therefore, when he was at his wit's end, he took out the token, hoping that it would be able to convince the old woman of his identity. If the token was useless, then only death awaited him. Fortunately, the token seemed to have some effect. It made the old woman stop. It seemed that she really remembered something. Seeing that the old woman's figure was getting weaker and weaker, she knew that her will was about to disappear from this world. She looked at Ling Xiao and said softly, "Child, I'm sorry. I've wronged you. Since you're my clan's vassal, remember what I've said." Ling Xiao heaved a sigh of relief and immediately nodded at the old woman. The old woman revealed a kind smile. With a light wave of her hand, the small cauldron flew in front of Ling Xiao. The golden silkworm Gu also instantly shrank and returned to the small cauldron. "This is the Heaven Gu divine cauldron, a sacred object of my clan. Since you're my clan's vassal, then bring it back to your clan and take good care of it. Can make my clan prosper again. This divine cauldron must not be lost. Even if you die, you must bring it back," the old woman said solemnly. Ling Xiao subconsciously nodded and thought to himself, "Is this small cauldron really the 8th-ranked Heaven Gu divine cauldron?" There were 9 great heaven cauldrons in the world. Every divine cauldron had incredible power, and every divine cauldron was a rare divine item. In this world, countless experts and alchemists yearned to obtain a divine cauldron. However, divine cauldrons could only be found by chance. It didn't matter how strong one was, one could obtain a divine cauldron. One also needed great opportunities to see a divine cauldron. Ling Xiao had accidentally obtained the obsidian divine cauldron in his clan. Now that the Heaven Gu divine cauldron was in front of him, it was equivalent to having 2 divine cauldrons in his hands. If others were to find out about this, it was unknown how many super experts would be envious. Even a saint-level expert would be envious. Others had traveled thousands of mountains and rivers in their lives to see a rare divine object, but this young man had too. How could they not be envious and jealous? The old woman's shadow was about to disappear. She quickened her pace and said, "When you go back, tell the current high priest not to think about revenge. The enemy is very powerful. If there is no descendant of the saint in our tribe, we must not participate in any faction battles and make enemies with others. Only if our tribe continues to have descendants, one day, there will be a descendant with the heavenly venomous body. He will restore our tribe's prestige and take revenge for our venomous body." At that moment, Ling Xiao's body felt a little better. When he heard about the heavenly venomous body, he struggled to his feet and said, "Senior, the priestess is my wife. She has the heavenly venomous body. Do you know where the heavenly venomous art is? She'll be 20 in a year. If we can't find it by then, she'll die." Ling Xiao spat out a mouthful of blood as he finished speaking in one breath. The old woman's energy was exhausted. When she heard Ling Xiao say the Heaven Gu divine body, her pupils dilated a little. She pointed in the direction of the small cauldron and said, "The Heaven Gu divine art is. Before she could finish speaking, her face revealed an extremely unwilling expression and she disappeared between heaven and earth. "Senior," Ling Xiao exclaimed. He knew that the old woman definitely knew the whereabouts of the Heaven Gu divine art, but her time was up. She had no choice but to disappear after saying what she wanted to say. Ling Xiao patted his head a few times in annoyance. He blamed himself for not asking her earlier. Now, he had completely lost the clue to the Heaven Gu divine art. What should he do? There was no medicine for regret in this world. Ling Xiao could only force himself to recover first, and then search around the city to see if he could find the Heaven Gu divine art. If he couldn't find it, he could only return to Guzhai City to refine the spirit-prolonging pill to continue the life of the priestess and spend the rest of his time with her. At the thought of the priestess dying soon, Ling Xiao's heart tightened. He spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted. Ling Xiao didn't know how much time had passed, but when he woke up, he found himself lying in an unfamiliar house. He struggled to sit up, but his body was in unbearable pain, making him cry out softly, "Ah! Husband, you're awake?" Kai Xiaoyue immediately appeared beside Ling Xiao, supported him, and asked with concern, Where is this?" Ling Xiao asked with a pale face. "Still in Gu City," Kai Xiaoyue replied. "Then why didn't I find any resentful souls?" Ling Xiao asked in confusion. After that powerful granny disappeared, those resentful souls seemed to have lost their backbone and also disappeared from the world, Kai Xiaoyue replied. "So that's how it is," Ling Xiao responded, and then sat up with Kai Xiaoyue's help. After taking a few more pills and resting for half a day, Ling Xiao finally recovered 60 to 70% and could get out of bed and walk around. "By the way, where's the small cauldron?" Ling Xiao suddenly remembered the Heaven Gu divine cauldron and immediately asked. "I have it," Kai Xiaoyue responded, and then took out the small cauldron from the space ring. Ling Xiao took the small cauldron, his expression full of bitterness. If it was someone else who obtained this Heaven Gu divine cauldron, they might be ecstatic, but Ling Xiao would rather exchange this Heaven Gu divine art for the Heaven Gu divine art, which would really make him very happy. "Forget it. Maybe this is Yun Er's fate." Ling Xiao sighed heavily, an indescribable sadness on his face. "Husband, what's on your mind? Tell me and share it with you, Kai Xiaoyue asked thoughtfully. Ling Xiao stroked Kai Xiaoyue's beautiful hair and said indifferently, "I'm just a little bored. Come out with me for a walk." If Ling Xiao didn't want to say it, Kai Xiaoyue naturally wouldn't force him. The two walked out of the house at the same time, and a bright sunlight sprinkled on them. Ling Xiao felt a lot more comfortable. "Young master," the demon emperor and poison scorpion bowed and asked. The demon emperor had occupied a new body, and he called Ling Xiao young master, which surprised poison scorpion. He thought to himself, when did young master have a new person by his side? For a moment, poison scorpion felt a strong sense of crisis. At first, he felt that it was a bit sullen to stay by Ling Xiao's side. However, when he saw that there was such a young high-level Earth sovereign realm expert by Ling Xiao's side, the arrogance in his heart completely disappeared. The other party was also an Earth Emperor of the same level as him, and he was so young, so his potential was definitely much greater than his. He was afraid that Ling Xiao would pay more attention to the Demon Emperor and ignore his existence. Ling Xiao nodded slightly and replied, "Thank you for your hard work. Did you find anything?" Both of them shook their heads, obviously not finding anything. However, the two of them had found a lot of spatial rings from the people who had died in Gu City this time. These spatial rings were all the treasures of those people, and there was no lack of Earth Emperor rank treasures among them. There should be a lot of good things inside. Ling Xiao didn't stand on ceremony and took all the spatial rings. At this time, Xian Yao flew back from not far away. "I thought you wouldn't wake up?" Xian Yao joked. Ling Xiao smiled bitterly and said, "If I don't wake up, who will refine the advancement pill for you?" Xian Yao seemed to have been hit in the ribs, and he laughed dryly and said, "You should refine a large number of advancement pills for me first. It won't be too late if you don't wake up." Ling Xiao couldn't be bothered with this fraud and changed the topic. "What if I can't find the Heaven Gu divine art? Can you calculate its location?" Xian Yao replied, "Let me do a divination first." Then, he took out something that looked like a turtle shell and shook it in his hand for a while before throwing out the copper coins inside the turtle shell. "How is it?" Ling Xiao asked very seriously. Chapter 418. Ling Xiao had followed Xianyao all the way south, and he knew that this quack had some skills, which was why he had asked so seriously. He was worried about the priestess' safety, and he would not let go of even the slightest chance of finding the Heaven Gu divine technique. Xianyao looked at the hexagram on the ground and muttered, "This hexagram hides the moon. What does that mean?" Ling Xiao asked. According to the hexagram, the moon should be hanging in the sky, bright and visible, but it has been eaten away by the heavenly hound, Xianyao said with a frown. He paused for a moment, then said, "The Heaven Gu divine technique should have appeared, but I don't know where it is hidden. Could be near the horizon, or it could be far away. Only the fated will know." Hearing this, Ling Xiao's face darkened. "What you said is as good as not saying anything." Xianyao's face heated up. "That's not it, that's not it. This divination is the best of the best. Although it has been hidden by the heavenly dog, there will be a day when the moon will be revealed, and the fated one will naturally be you, Brother Ling. You don't have to worry too much about this matter, and you don't have to think about it anymore. Just let nature take its course." Ling Xiao was skeptical, but he could only stop thinking about it. The world was so big, and the Heaven Gu divine technique had disappeared for thousands of years. It had probably been destroyed, or it might have fallen into the hands of the big sects that had destroyed the Gu tribe. No matter what, Ling Xiao had no confidence in finding the whereabouts of the Heaven Gu divine technique in the remaining year of this priestess's life. Just as Ling Xiao was feeling depressed again, Nangong Lai appeared. "Senior Nangong is still here?" Ling Xiao asked in surprise. Although Nangong Lai and he were of the same generation, Ling Xiao still called Nangong Lai Senior out of respect. "Master Ling, are you all right?" Nangong Lai asked with concern. "Thanks to luck, I'm fine," Ling Xiao replied. He then asked, "The vengeful spirits in Gu City have already dispersed, and there's nothing worth exploring here anymore. Why did Senior Nangong stay?" Nangong Lai looked around and sighed heavily. "It's just to complete a mission from 15 years ago. Now, it seems like I can only forget about it." Ling Xiao was slightly surprised. He did not understand why Nangong Lai's mission was related to Gu City. Nangong Lai was too lazy to explain. He knew that Ling Xiao was a subordinate of Gu City. Perhaps he was here for the Heaven Gu divine technique. Explaining would only cause unnecessary misunderstandings. "I want to leave Gu City today. Will Master Ling come with me?" Nangong Lai changed the topic and asked. Nangong Lai knew about Ling Xiao's miraculous abilities. Now that Ling Xiao had two high-level Earth Emperors following him, besides the old monsters of the Magic Shadow Sect and the Alliance Master of the Deity Dao Union, no one could threaten him in the Southern Wasteland. If he included the Blue Flood Dragon, even those old monsters would be afraid of him. Therefore, he definitely had to be on good terms with Ling Xiao. It would be best if their relationship could reach the level of friendship despite the difference in age. After all, Ling Xiao was already a rank 5 alchemist at such a young age. If this continued, he would probably be able to advance another step in a few years. At that time, even if the Danshan Dao came back to life, he would be ashamed. Ling Xiao thought for a moment, but in the end, he still shook his head and said, "Senior Nangong, I want to stay here for a while. Since that's the case, then I won't force you." "Oh right, don't call me senior, it sounds distant. You're already a rank 5 alchemist at such a young age, so you should talk to me as an equal. In the future, just call me Nangong Lai." Nangong Lai softened his tone. Ling Xiao said modestly, "How can I do that?" "Why not? How about this, I'll call you Brother Ling, and you can call me Big Brother Lai. I'm a few years older than you, so let's be a bit more equal," Nangong Lai said passionately. "All right, since Big Brother Lai is so kind, then I'll take up the responsibility." Ling Xiao also stayed outside. Through his contact with Nangong Lai, he felt that he could make friends with this person. After all, one more friend meant one more path. Moreover, with Nangong Lai's status as the #1 mercenary emperor, he was willing to lower his status to make friends with him. If others heard that the dignified #1 mercenary emperor of the Southern Wasteland, a super expert who had the highest chance of stepping into the venerable level within 100 years, was to make friends with a young man, and that young man still felt that it was too much, they would probably vomit blood in anger. A future Empyrean-level figure would be able to speak as an equal to a tiny low-level king-level figure like him. How great of an honor would that be? Yet he was actually unwilling. It really made them want to find 100 flower-like women to ravage him 100 times, and then swallow their saliva and drown him to vent their anger. Nan Gonglai left just like that. Ling Xiao, on the other hand, wandered around Gu City. He was praying that his luck was good, and he would accidentally find the Heaven Gu divine art. How great would that be? Unfortunately, this city of resentment had been occupied by resentful spirits for a long time, and there was nothing to be found except for the dilapidated houses. Ling Xiao had no choice but to give up on the idea of finding the Heaven Gu divine art. At night, Ling Xiao summoned the blue dragon. It had been injured by the old woman's 2 palm strikes, but now that it was full of energy, he could not help but praise its abnormal recovery ability. Ling Xiao then summoned the Golden Wolf King. The Golden Wolf King had been staying in the obsidian cauldron all the way south, and it was time to come out and relax. In the next 2 days, Ling Xiao did his best to restore his body to its peak state. Then he planned to find Xian Yao, who knew that Xian Yao had already left Gu City at some point in time. Xian Yao's departure caused Ling Xiao to feel depressed for a while. He muttered in his heart, "This swindler probably knew that I was going to interrogate him, so he actually slipped away first. I hope I don't meet him next time, or else I'll turn him into a popsicle." Xian Yao had followed him all the way and had predicted some opportunities in advance, which made Ling Xiao feel that Xian Yao was definitely not a simple person. A few days ago, Xian Yao had even set up the floating light sweeping shadow formation, which proved that Ling Xiao's thoughts were correct. He had wanted to have a good talk with Xian Yao, but unexpectedly, the other party had slipped away first. This made Ling Xiao feel that Xian Yao was definitely not a simple person. A young man who was far away from Gu City turned around and looked in the direction of Gu City. He chuckled and said, "Who is this Tianji? You want to interrogate me? There's no way. When you come to the central region, I'll tell you the truth." After Xian Yao left, Ling Xiao only had Kai Xiayue, the Demon Emperor, and Poison Scorpion by his side. Kai Xiayue was often by Ling Xiao's side, while the Demon Emperor and Poison Scorpion tactfully found their own places to cultivate. Ling Xiao held Kai Xiayue's hand and slowly walked towards the setting sun. Their figures were stretched out, and their figures leaned against each other, looking extremely intimate. "I want to make this place glorious again," Ling Xiao said indifferently as he faced the setting sun. Although he was not a member of the Gu clan, he had done the deed of husband and wife with the priestess. He was a true follower of the Gu clan, so he felt that he had to do something for the Gu clan. If he chose to leave now, perhaps the Gu clan would fall into the hands of others, and everything about the Gu clan here would be obliterated. Perhaps after 1,000 years, others would no longer know that this was the origin of the Gu clan. "No matter what husband wants to do, you will support you," Kai Xiayue replied with infinite tenderness. "I want you to be the temporary master of this place. What do you think?" Ling Xiao asked as he hugged Kai Xiayue's shoulder. Kai Xiayue stared at Ling Xiao and said reluctantly, "I want to be with husband more." Ling Xiao hugged this woman who had once been infamous for her fierceness in his arms and said lightly, "If 2 people love each other for a long time, how can they stay together day and night?" Husband's goal is not to stay in the southern wasteland or the northwest. One day, I will go to the central region to see what the real holy land of martial arts is like. I let you stay here because I feel that I need to do something for the Gu clan, and I can't stay here all the time, so I can only wrong you. But don't worry, it won't be long before I take you away from here. I can't bear to let a beautiful woman like you stay alone in an empty room. You will listen to you." Kai Xiayue looked at Ling Xiao with infatuation and hugged Ling Xiao tightly, not wanting to let go. Feeling Kai Xiayue's plump body, Ling Xiao felt restless. Young people were always impulsive, and energetic young people were even more energetic. After a night of nonsense, Ling Xiao called Poison Scorpion over. "Young master, what orders do you have?" Poison Scorpion asked respectfully as he bowed. Poison Scorpion felt a great deal of pressure with the presence of the Demon Emperor, a young and powerful opponent. He had to show enough loyalty in order to gain the appreciation of this young master. Otherwise, his dream of becoming a venerable rank cultivator would be delayed indefinitely. Ling Xiao naturally did not know the reason why Poison Scorpion was so respectful. He only felt that Poison Scorpion should have been intimidated by his aura, which was why he was so respectful. He was very happy in his heart. I will give you a mission. If you complete this mission well, I will give you the 10,000-year stone emulsion, Ling Xiao said lightly. Please speak, young master. This old servant will naturally do his best. Poison Scorpion immediately replied, but he was incomparably happy in his heart. I want you to help you rebuild Gu City in the name of Gu City's vassal. Of course, I don't need you to make it perfect and rich. I just need you to restore the people here. When the Gu clan returns in the future, you can hand it back to them to manage. This can also be considered as me fulfilling a bit of my responsibility, Ling Xiao said faintly. When Poison Scorpion heard this mission, he could not help but feel a headache. It sounded simple, but to restore the people of a city that had been abandoned for tens of thousands of years was not something that could be done in a day or two. However, Poison Scorpion knew that he had no other choice and immediately replied, This old servant will do his best to help Madam rebuild the city, but if you have something to say, just say it, said Ling Xiao. But rebuilding the city is not something that can be done in a day, and this old servant and Madam do not have any experience in this area. I'm afraid it will be a bit difficult, said Poison Scorpion. Ling Xiao felt that Poison Scorpion's words were not without reason. It seemed that the two bald commanders had become something big. Ling Xiao fell silent for a moment, thinking about the development of each city and the conditions for its existence. He suddenly thought of the Dong family's auction. I have an idea. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He had thought of a solution. After sending Poison Scorpion away, Ling Xiao was not in a hurry to rebuild Gu City, nor did he immediately leave. Instead, he chose to go into seclusion here. Chapter 419. Why did Ling Xiao close it at this time? It wasn't because he had some new comprehension or breakthrough, but because he wanted to activate the dragon's bloodline in his body and let his ancient divine emperor function advance a step further. He had the corpse of the 9-headed dragon snake in the obsidian cauldron, as well as the 7th stage 10,000-year blood coral. These two things were enough to let his dragon bloodline advance a step further and achieve the so-called royal bloodline. Under the Dragon Wave River, Ling Xiao didn't have the time to dissect the 9-headed dragon snake's corpse. Now, taking advantage of this time, he released the 9-headed dragon snake's corpse. Although this corpse had been dead for a long time, its entire body was still emitting the power of ice and fire, making it difficult for ordinary people to approach. Ling Xiao enlarged the obsidian cauldron and slowly guided the blood essence of the corpse into the medicine cauldron. The 9-headed dragon snake's corpse was extremely huge, and the amount of blood essence in its body was also extremely large. It took more than half the size of a house to drain out. As the blood essence flowed out, the corpse also became shriveled. Ling Xiao then dissected the corpse and took out the useful things, such as the beast core, beast skin, beast bones. The flesh that he didn't need was divided between the blue flood dragon and the golden wolf king. In the palm of Ling Xiao's hand was a huge beast core. This beast core was half white and half red, making it look exceptionally strange. Strands of energy overflowed, causing the surroundings to feel hot and cold. The 9-headed dragon snake had 9 heads, but only the head in the middle that could swallow human speech had a beast core. The 9-headed dragon snake was an 8th stage fierce beast, and it was an extremely rare spirit beast with both ice and fire attributes. The two attributes each took up half, and there was no difference in strength. I thought it would be 9 beast cores of different attributes, but it's actually a mixed-type beast core. Looks like my ice and fire sword can be saved. Ling Xiao was overjoyed as he looked at the beast core in his hand and murmured. He had obtained the ice and fire sword from the old guard in the sex weapon depository. Without the beast core in the sword hilt, it still had the power of a profound level weapon. He guessed that this ice and fire sword might have been a spirit sword. However, a beast core with both ice and fire attributes was easy to find, but a beast core with both ice and fire attributes was extremely rare and difficult to find. Now that Ling Xiao had obtained this beast core, he could let someone refine the ice and fire sword again. In any case, he still had 2 extremely expensive refining materials in the obsidian cauldron. He planned to forge the ice and fire sword into a sword that was at least a high-grade spirit weapon, so that he could use it more easily. Ling Xiao kept the beast core and took off his clothes, revealing his fit and beautiful figure. Ling Xiao was very narcissistic as he shook his head and recited a poem. A body with the golden ratio, beautiful women will be envious when they see it. Strong and erect, deep and deep. It's really a good poem. With that, he jumped into the cauldron that contained the 9-headed dragon snake's blood essence without hesitation. The 9-headed dragon snake contained a high concentration of dragons' bloodline, and at the same time, it also had the bloodline of other snake clans. Ling Xiao naturally could not swallow all the blood essence and refine it, so he thought of soaking it in the blood essence and slowly extracting the dragon's bloodline. He activated the ancient emperor mystic technique, the pores on his skin expanded, and a bit of blood essence began to seep into his skin. The blood essence seeped into his skin and then into his bloodline, and the mysterious technique began to guide and absorb it. The ancient emperor mystic technique's ability to devour and decompose had always been abnormal. After the mixed blood essence entered, a small portion of the blood was removed, and only the blood essence that belonged to the dragons merged into his bloodline. The dragon's blood essence was abnormally hot, and Ling Xiao only felt that his entire body was hot and unbearable, as if his blood vessels were about to burst at any moment. Ling Xiao already knew that it was not easy to cultivate the ancient emperor mystic technique, and his endurance had long been trained to an extraordinary level in the past few years. He was calm and composed, and the divine technique was on its own, allowing the blood essence to transform his entire body. In fact, Ling Xiao did not know that his feat of absorbing the blood essence was actually a warm-up cultivation for the 5th form of the ancient emperor mystic technique, blood refinement, in advance. The ancient emperor mystic technique was divided into 5 realms: skin refinement, tendon refinement, viscera refinement, bone refinement, and blood refinement. Currently, Ling Xiao had already entered the initial realm of bone refinement and was still a distance away from the intermediate realm. But now that he had begun to absorb the 9-headed dragon snake's blood essence, the spine and other ribs in his body actually slowly turned yellow, and the golden color of his internal organs gradually showed signs of approaching. Thinking about it, this bone refinement realm, because of the infiltration of the blood essence, caused Ling Xiao's bloodline to begin to mutate, and his bones also received a lot of benefits. Originally, the ancient emperor mystic technique required the Kim people's royal bloodline to cultivate, but this royal bloodline was similar to the true dragon's bloodline, or rather, it was the same. Previously, Ling Xiao had relied on the remnant blood essence of the purple flood dragon and the flood dragon's blood essence to allow his body to cultivate the ancient emperor mystic technique. Now that he had purified his bloodline again, the benefits would definitely be even greater. As more and more of the blood went into his veins, Ling Xiao's blood became a little bit different from the blood of ordinary people. But if you didn't pay attention, you wouldn't be able to see it. Ling Xiao let out a long roar and flew out of the cauldron. He then said to the blue flood dragon, "Xiaolong, go in here." The blue flood dragon had already smelled the blood of its dragons in the cauldron. Seeing that Ling Xiao had already come out, it impatiently entered the blood cauldron. Ling Xiao did not have the time to pay attention to the blue flood dragon. He immediately took out the 10,000-year-old blood coral, tore off 2 of the dozens of vines, and quickly swallowed them into his mouth. Ling Xiao had already taken advantage of the fact that his bloodline had absorbed the dragon's blood essence. He then used the 10,000-year blood coral to purify his bloodline and successfully activated the dragon's blood essence that he had just absorbed. Ling Xiao took advantage of the fact that his bloodline had absorbed the dragon's blood essence. He then used the 10,000-year blood coral to purify his bloodline and successfully activated the dragon's blood essence that he had just absorbed. At the same time, he made it even more concentrated. As the 10,000-year blood coral stem and vine were sucked in, a thick wave of blood churned endlessly in his body. The blood seemed to be burning hot, causing Ling Xiao to be in so much pain that he couldn't help but fall to the ground and scream in pain. This kind of pain was even more painful than when he cultivated the ancient emperor's mystic technique. He felt as if all the blood vessels in his body were about to burst at any moment. At the same time, the bloodline in his body gradually turned a golden color. The golden color of the royal family, the symbol of the dragon's bloodline. Ling Xiao's extraordinary endurance couldn't bear the pain, and he finally fainted. Ling Xiao didn't know that when he fainted, dragon scales formed on the surface of his body and tightly wrapped him up. This was the dragon armor's dark force. It was also one of the unique characteristics of cultivating the ancient emperor's mystic technique. This meant that Ling Xiao's bloodline was already suitable for cultivating the ancient emperor's mystic technique. He had initially shown the power of the ancient emperor's mystic technique. However, the technique he cultivated might not be the original version. He would have to wait for an opportunity in the future to obtain the original version of the ancient emperor's mystic technique in order to show the true power of the technique. When Ling Xiao woke up again, he saw that there seemed to be something stuck to his bare body. When he looked at it, it was actually a layer of dried blood. This blood must have been stained by the medicinal cauldron before, but he didn't have time to wash it, so it remained. Ling Xiao bounced up from the ground and breathed a sigh of relief when he found that his body was not seriously injured. He clenched his fists and felt the energy in his body. He only felt that his whole body and mind had a feeling of being able to move mountains and overwhelming momentum. Suddenly, there was a stuffy feeling in his chest. There was a feeling of injustice that he couldn't vent if he didn't vent it. Ling Xiao shouted, raised his fist and smashed it hard toward the ground. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded, and a deep pit more than 10 meters wide appeared on the ground. If he hadn't set up a restriction here before, the house would probably have been destroyed by the impact. For a martial artist above the king stage, a pit more than 10 meters deep could be made with a casual move. But Ling Xiao was very happy because he had created this pit more than 10 meters wide. Because he didn't use any spiritual energy or attribute attack just now. He completely relied on his physical strength to smash the ground to this extent. It could be imagined what kind of terrifying level his physical body had reached. The blood of the dragons has already changed my bloodline, and my physical body has also become more terrifying. If I use the ancient emperor divine technique, I'm afraid that I can directly smash high-level profound weapons. Ling Xiao's eyes shone as he murmured. He had previously smashed a low-level 4th-level profound weapon, and now he was confident that he could smash a profound weapon of the 5th level and above. At the same time, his current physical body was probably comparable to the strength of a 5th-level defensive armor. An ordinary Earth Emperor would probably be unable to kill him with their bare hands. Only the use of a spiritual weapon or a high-level profound skill would be able to make him retreat a little. Ling Xiao calmed his excited state of mind and looked at the medicinal cauldron. He originally thought that the blue dragon would stay inside, but he found that the blue dragon had already come out of the medicinal cauldron. Seeing that it didn't seem to be in high spirits, it seemed that it didn't obtain any benefits from the blood in the medicinal cauldron. Ling Xiao went over to touch the blue dragon's head and said, "You have already eaten the blood coral fruit, and your bloodline has long been purified to the limit. I'm afraid that only the bloodline of a true dragon divine beast can help you reap some benefits. But you don't have to worry. First raise your cultivation level, and one day you will become a true dragon divine beast." Ling Xiao's goal was the same as that of all the men in the world. They all hoped to control the world when awake and lie on the knees of beauties when drunk. However, to achieve this ideal and ambition, one must have a strong strength to rely on. Therefore, Ling Xiao had always wanted to constantly become stronger and break through, so that one day he could support a part of the world that belonged to him, so that he could have a carefree golden nest. When he chose to set foot on the road to the peak, he also hoped that the servants or spirit beasts that followed him would become the supreme existence of tens of thousands of people, and at the same time, he also hoped that the servants or spirit beasts that followed him would become the supreme existence of tens of thousands of beasts. It was just that this ideal was beautiful, but to actually achieve it, who knew how long it would take and how much effort it would take? Ling Xiao originally wanted to clean up the blood in the medicinal cauldron, but the obsidian cauldron's soul reminded Ling Xiao to pour the blood into the second layer of the medicinal cauldron. This way, he could also cultivate some strange spirit herbs. Ling Xiao thought about it and felt that the cauldron's words made sense, so he poured all the remaining blood into the second layer of the medicinal cauldron. After Ling Xiao washed his body with clean water, he suddenly had a flash of inspiration. He suddenly thought of purifying the Golden Wolf King's bloodline. Perhaps there would be unexpected gains? Thinking of this, Ling Xiao summoned the Golden Wolf King. Chapter 420. The Golden Wolf King was the first spirit beast that Ling Xiao had subdued with great effort. At the time, it was only an advanced rank 2 spirit beast, but it had a rank 3 beast core and a mutated third eye on its forehead. It was supposed to be a wind wolf, but it had a high concentration of the metal attribute and was the mutated king of the wind wolves. Over the years, it had followed Ling Xiao and advanced to the intermediate rank 4 spirit beast. However, with the existence of the blue flood dragon, its usefulness had decreased by a lot. However, Ling Xiao wasn't the kind of person who would forget the old and be greedy for the new. Therefore, he planned to purify the Golden Wolf King's bloodline and see if it had the high-rank Tenbin bloodline. The 10,000-year blood coral was different from ordinary spirit herbs. It had dozens of roots, and each root contained a large amount of essence energy. The 10,000-year-old blood coral was extremely precious, and Ling Xiao intended to keep a portion of it to refine the vitality-prolonging pill. That was why he only ate 2 stalks before, but now he took 5 stalks and fed them to the Golden Wolf King. Xiao Jin, eat it. Ling Xiao placed the roots in front of the Golden Wolf King. The Golden Wolf King and Ling Xiao had signed a master-servant contract, so it obeyed Ling Xiao's words. It stuck out its tongue and rolled the roots into its mouth. After consuming the stem, the Golden Wolf King couldn't help but howl towards the sky. All the golden fur on its body stood up like needles. Its third eye also slowly opened, and its bloodthirsty fangs were constantly grinding. It worked! Ling Xiao exclaimed with joy. However, as soon as he finished speaking, the Golden Wolf King didn't have any more changes. The Golden Wolf King twitched its ears and said, "Master, is there anything else to eat? Those few blades of grass seem to be too little." Ling Xiao really wanted to kick this glutton. That was a rank 7 spirit herb, blood coral, not a few blades of grass. Ling Xiao hesitated for a moment, then took out 5 more roots and fed them to the Golden Wolf King. This was the true beginning of the mutation. A ball of dazzling golden light blossomed, and the howling of the wolf rang out incessantly. The wolf's fur was no longer a pure golden color, but had become a mix of gold and white, faintly showing signs of growing longer. The wolf's fangs and claws also became longer and sharper. On its forehead, a small bundle of pure white wolf fur protruded from the middle of its head, like a unique embellishment, causing it to become a lot more arrogant. The third wolf's eye continued to flicker with a strange divine light, unexpectedly no longer shrinking into the gap between its skin, but instead occupying a spot like the other 2 eyes, forming a fixed third eye. In addition to the changes on the surface of its body, its aura was also rising steadily. It had actually directly jumped 2 levels and reached the low level of the 5th step. This truly shocked Ling Xiao. "It's a true 3-eyed wolf now," Ling Xiao said, looking at the Golden Wolf King. The current Golden Wolf King was very different from a real wind wolf, and also different from other wolf breeds. It seemed that the bloodline purification this time had made it a true high-level variant spirit beast. The Golden Wolf King had advanced, and its appearance had become not only mighty, but also a little more arrogant. Arrogance, perhaps, was the unique characteristic of a wolf spirit beast. After driving the Golden Wolf King and the Blue Flood Dragon out to let out some fresh air, Ling Xiao began to plan the first step of rebuilding Gu City. He didn't have much time to accompany Kai Shui and Poison Scorpion to slowly rebuild and take care of Gu City here. However, as the initiator, it would be unreasonable if he didn't make some effort. Therefore, he planned to build an auction in Gu City that was not inferior to Nantian City. With his identity as a rank 5 alchemist, as long as he refined a batch of high-level pills, let the Blue Flood Dragon hunt some high-level spirit rank pills, and then took out some high-level spirit herbs to auction, he would definitely be able to attract countless people. It had to be known that these auction things were extremely tempting, and there would be no shortage of auctions in any big city. With an auction, people would come to auction things, and at the same time it would also publicize the disappearance of Gu City's reopening. Then, there would be no need to worry about no merchants coming to develop here. With merchants, it would mean a flow of people and Gu City could slowly develop. In the future, when the people of the Gu clan returned to their homeland, they would no longer need to worry about rebuilding their home. For 10 days in a row, Ling Xiao concentrated on refining pills in the house. He mainly refined 3rd and 4th grade medicinal pills, but he only refined 2 5th grade medicinal pills. After all, it would take a lot of time to refine 5th grade pills. He still had to go out and hunt some high-level spirit beasts to find some rare treasures to make up for the number. Otherwise, if only pills were to be auctioned at the auction, it would be a bit embarrassing. Ling Xiao summoned Kai Xiayue, the Demon Emperor, and Poison Scorpion. Ling Xiao conveyed his intentions to the 3 of them, and then handed the refined pills to Kai Xiayue for safekeeping. Husband, your idea is right, but it's not enough to rely on these. The auction is held once a month. If husband leaves here and the pills are auctioned, what can we take out to win people's hearts? Do you want us to search for precious treasures every day? It's not that easy to find treasures in this world, Kai Xiayue said clearly. Ling Xiao nodded and replied, Then what do you think? You are. Kai Xiayue replied, I think we have to make friends with other forces, big and small, and let them know the strength of our auction house. Let them provide us with supplies, and we can auction them at a good price. This way, everyone will know that there are many good things in our auction, and we will be able to attract a steady stream of people. Madam is right. Although this old servant has never joined any forces, I have made friends with some hidden heroes over the years. I can let them have good things to auction here, Poison Scorpion said. The Demon Emperor was silent at the side, as if he was not interested in these things. Ling Xiao smiled and said, You Er's thoughts are the same as mine. There will be no shortage of pills, spirit herbs, and spirit beasts. What we lack the most are profound artifacts, spirit artifacts, profound skills, and those rare treasures. The first step is to perfect these sources so we don't have to worry about not being able to continue. As for the rest of the industry, we will give some to the merchants first, and leave some for the descendants of the Gu clan to take over in the future. At this time, Poison Scorpion continued, In terms of refining, the Tang family is the best in the southern wasteland. They have been refining for generations, and there have been a few 6th-stage grandmasters. Now, the Tang family's old man is also a 6th-stage spirit tool grandmaster. If we can get the Tang family's supply, the problem of profound artifacts and spirit artifacts can be solved. Ling Xiao was delighted. He hadn't thought about where to refine his ice and fire sword, but now that he heard Poison Scorpion's words, his interest was greatly increased. Since the Tang family was a refining family and had a grandmaster-level figure in charge, he believed that he could refine his ice and fire sword. At the same time, he could take this opportunity to talk to the Tang family and see if he could obtain their support. This way, he could kill 2 birds with 1 stone. The trip to the Tang family was extremely necessary. Now that he had a way to solve the problem of the weapons, he would have to rely on others to auction off the other rare treasures. In this regard, he would have to widely publicize the auction. If it was attractive enough, there was no need to be afraid that no one would come. However, before that, there was still a very important problem to solve. A large city must have a transmission array. Otherwise, how could people from remote places rush here? Did he have to spend a lot of time coming from somewhere else? This was obviously impossible. Savage Leopard, check if there's a transmission array in the city. Ling Xiao said to the Demon Emperor. Savage Leopard was the name of the current Demon Emperor's body. It was very similar to the Demon Emperor's cold and bloodthirsty personality. The Demon Emperor himself also liked this code name. He decided that he would use this name to return to his former peak, or even surpass his original cultivation and break into the saint level. The Savage Leopard, Demon Emperor, bowed slightly and said, There is indeed a transmission array in the city, but it's a bit damaged. We need to redraw the runes to use it. Ling Xiao was overjoyed. With a transmission array, it would be much more convenient to travel between cities. Furthermore, there would be a large amount of profound crystal income. It would be much easier to develop in the future. I'll leave the matter of repairing the runes to you. You and Scorpion go hunt a few rank 5 spirit beasts. If you can find beast eggs or young beasts, that's fine too. I'll go discuss with the savage leopard about the Tang family. Ling Xiao instructed. Young master, with your relationship with the Lai Emperor, you can get the Raging Flame mercenary group to provide us with some supplies. I believe that the Lai Emperor will be very happy to help you, Poison Scorpion suggested. Ling Xiao's eyes lit up. Poison Scorpion's words were right. Mercenary groups relied on hunting spirit beasts, searching for spirit herbs, and completing missions to survive. If the mercenary group under Nangong Lai were to provide some good supplies, then not only would they be able to solve the problem of the auction being out of stock, but they would also be able to increase the popularity of the auction. What if the Raging Flame mercenary group were to be stationed here? Ling Xiao boldly imagined. This might be a bit difficult, Poison Scorpion replied with a bitter smile. Why? Are you worried that the Gu clan won't agree? Ling Xiao asked. That's not it. But the Lai Emperor was originally a member of the Nangong family. His heart is on the Nangong family's side, and he has already stationed the mercenary group in the Nangong family's headquarters. He definitely won't be easily transferred away, so there's no need for young master to waste your time on this, Poison Scorpion replied. Ling Xiao suddenly understood and immediately said, So that's how it is. But now that we have a way, rebuilding Gu City will be much easier. The key is to see how we can spread the news of Gu City's reopening to all the cities in the Southern Territory. This is easy, but there were many forces that wanted to occupy Gu City and become the king. Now that Gu City has been reopened, I'm afraid that there will be many forces that will be tempted, Poison Scorpion said. Kai Shiue interrupted. With us here, I'm sure ordinary forces won't dare to be presumptuous. Kai Shiue was already a mid-level Earth Emperor, and Poison Scorpion was a high-level Earth Emperor. The two of them were already at the top of the Southern Wasteland. Other than a few major forces, who would dare to snatch their territory? Ling Xiao thoughtfully revealed a cunning smile and said, It's best if someone comes to snatch our territory, so that we can increase our manpower. The other three were stunned, and then they all revealed a look of understanding. After dividing the work, Kai Shiue and Poison Scorpion went to the nearest mountain forest to look for high-level spirit beasts, while the savage leopard seized the time to repair the formation patterns. When the formation patterns of the transmission formation were re-engraved, waves of spatial energy continuously flashed in the sky above Gu City, and only after a long time did it return to normal. Ling Xiao and the savage leopard set foot on the road to the Tang family. Chapter 421. 10,000 years ago, Gu City was already the largest city in the southern wasteland. The transmission array built in the city naturally led to many stronghold cities. One of the cities was controlled by the Tang family, and at the same time it was also the territory of the Tang family. Giant Peak City, this was a city named after the peak. Numerous stone peaks stood tall here, appearing abnormally tall and lofty. At the foot of the mountains, numerous pavilions were built against the mountains. There was a sea of people, spirit birds flying, and waves of metal clanging reverberated within the city, ceaselessly without end. Giant Peak City was also an ancient city that had existed for 30,000 years. Before the Tang family dominated the city, this was just a small city. Later on, the Tang family took root here and established a refining family, which gradually developed this place into a big city in the southern wasteland. Just as Ling Xiao and the cruel leopard stepped into the Giant Peak City, they heard the sound of iron being forged. Ling Xiao couldn't help but sigh, as expected of a crafting family. Even the people of this city focus on crafting. Looking at the refining shops on both sides of the street, Ling Xiao felt dazzled. In these ordinary refining shops, it was actually easy to find a level 3 Shen artifact, and occasionally 1 or 2 level 4 Shen artifacts. No wonder most of the martial artists walking on the street were carrying Shen artifacts on their backs. As for those level 1 or 2 ordinary weapons, They were only carried by those unranked martial artists. This really broadened Ling Xiao's horizons. Thinking back to when he was in Meteorite City, it was difficult for a few big families to find a Shen artifact, but here there were many of them. It was truly a difference of cloud and mud. Forget it, one day, I'll bring all the people from the clan out and let them experience it. I won't have to stay in that remote and desolate place for the rest of my life. Ling Xiao thought in his heart. Ling Xiao and the cruel leopard arrived at the largest shop in the city. This was the largest weapon shop directly under the Tang family. There were all sorts of weapons displayed in the shop. Every weapon was a third-tier and above profound armament. Not a single one of them was a first-tier or second-tier mortal weapon. The craftsmanship of these profound armaments was extremely exquisite and unique. The spiritual energy fluctuations were extremely strong. It was obvious that every single one of them was a top-grade masterpiece. When Ling Xiao and Savage Leopard walked into the weapon shop, a middle-aged spirit master immediately greeted them with a smile. Please feel free to take a look. Our Tang clan's Shen weapons are publicly recognized as the best. Ling Xiao lightly waved his beautiful fan, and with a carefree and unrestrained manner, he said, "We are not here to buy a profound level weapon, but to ask the master of your shop to help us forge a spiritual weapon. I wonder if that is possible?" Apart from selling weapons, most weapon shops also accepted the business of forging weapons. The middle-aged man was stunned at first, then he replied, "Are you sure you want to refine a spirit tool and not a Shen tool?" "Of course," Ling Xiao replied indifferently. The middle-aged man said, "Then do you know that the price of forging a spirit tool is not cheap? Moreover, you need to prepare your own materials. Otherwise, we won't be able to accept it." Ling Xiao said indifferently, "I understand the rules. Why don't you ask your shop's manager to come out? Other than forging a spirit tool, I also have a big business to discuss with your shop." Before the middle-aged man could reply, a rather disdainful voice rang out, "I wonder which family you are from? Not just anyone can do business with our Tang clan." Ling Xiao turned his head to look and saw a young man around 25 years old walking in surrounded by two young girls. This young man was dressed luxuriously and had a proud expression on his face as he strode in with wide steps. When the middle-aged man saw this young man, a trace of imperceptible disgust flashed across his face. However, he still squeezed out a smile and bowed. "Greetings, second young master." This young man was the nephew of the Tang clan's patriarch, Tang Aoling. He was a high-level spirit master. He was lecherous, arrogant, and liked to bully others. In Giant Summit City, he was famous for being a young thug. Tang Aoling didn't even look at the middle-aged man. He looked at Ling Xiao and said with contempt, "Look at your shabby appearance. I don't know where this swindler came from. How dare you come to my Tang clan's territory and cause trouble? You're really blind." Ling Xiao frowned. The savage leopard behind him wanted to teach Tang Aoling a lesson but was stopped by Ling Xiao. "What, do you dare to attack this young master? Are you tired of living? Hurry up and get out, or else I'll let you know how powerful this young master is." Tang Aoling pointed at Ling Xiao and shouted. He had been cultivating tenbin since he was young. He also grew up in an ancient family and was doted on by the elders. This was why he had such a condescending personality. He was only a high-level spirit master, so he couldn't see the depth of Ling Xiao and the savage leopard's strength. He only thought that the two of them were so young, so how could they have the ability to provide the price and materials to refine a spirit weapon? They were probably swindlers. Ling Xiao was very displeased and said to the middle-aged man, "Is this how your shop treats its guests?" The middle-aged man looked at Ling Xiao apologetically and said, "You too? Why don't you go somewhere else?" The middle-aged man was only the shopkeeper of this shop and didn't have much power. How could he argue with his second young master? He could only persuade Ling Xiao and the savage leopard to leave for now. "I can't believe that the dignified Tang clan can't even forge a spirit weapon. Instead, they use this kind of price to drive away customers. How disappointing." Ling Xiao looked at Tang Aoling with extreme disgust. "You bastard! Do you know how much each spiritual tool costs to forge? What kind of high-level materials do you need? Even an ordinary earthly emperor wouldn't dare to casually forge a spirit weapon. You're still wet behind the ears, and you dare to ruin my Tang clan? You're courting death. Tang Owling roared at Ling Xiao and prepared to teach Ling Xiao a lesson. Impudent! Before Ling Xiao could make a move, the savage leopard behind him shouted and a powerful aura spread out. Tang Owling's chest seemed to have been punched, and he was instantly sent flying out of the door. A stream of blood spurted out. Second young master. The two girls chased after him and cried out. The middle-aged man in the shop was startled at first. Then he said to Ling Xiao and the savage leopard, "What is the meaning of this?" Although he didn't like the second young master's self-righteous personality, this was still the Tang clan's territory. How could he allow someone to hurt the second young master here? However, judging from the other party's attack, he was definitely not an ordinary person. At the very least, he was a king stage expert. Ling Xiao closed his fan and sneered, "I originally wanted to do a big business with your shop, but it seems like there's no way to discuss it." Then Ling Xiao turned around to leave. The middle-aged man could only bite the bullet and stop Ling Xiao and the savage leopard. "If you leave without giving us an explanation, I'm afraid it will damage my Tang clan's reputation." What a joke. Although this is your Tang clan's territory, it doesn't mean that we're afraid of your Tang clan. If you don't leave now, don't blame me for being impolite, Ling Xiao said unhappily. He had originally wanted to attract the Tang clan's attention and then further contact the Tang clan's higher-ups to discuss the cooperation. Unexpectedly, he had caused such an incident, which really made Ling Xiao annoyed. What big words! You actually dare to not put my Tang clan in your eyes. You can go out today lying down. A dignified voice came from the staircase. An old man and a middle-aged man walked out from upstairs. The one who spoke was the old man with the cultivation of a mid-stage king stage, while the middle-aged man was a low-stage king stage. Obviously, he was the shop's manager. Two managers. When the middle-aged man saw the two of them, it was as if he had seen his savior and immediately called out. Ling Xiao ignored the two of them and walked out of the door with the savage leopard. "How dare you run after seeing us?" The low-stage king stage expert shouted angrily. He stomped on the ground with one foot, and his figure was like a ghost as he pounced towards Ling Xiao and the savage leopard. Ling Xiao didn't even turn his head, while the savage leopard fiercely glared at the low-stage king stage expert. Puff! The low-stage king stage expert only felt as if thousands of stones were smashing towards him, and his entire body bounced back like a cannonball. "Tang sure!" the old man exclaimed and immediately ran to the low-stage king stage expert who was lying on the ground. He looked at his companion who had already died, and his heart turned cold. The opponent had actually used only a pair of eyes to shock his companion to death. What kind of cultivation was this? The old man's face turned ashen. Did the other party really come with bad intentions this time? The middle-aged man who had just received Ling Xiao and the savage leopard swallowed his saliva, and cold sweat dripped down his face. He thought to himself, "Second young master has caused big trouble. Fortunately, I didn't make a move just now. Otherwise, I wouldn't even know what happened when I died." The old man walked out of the door and found that the two murderers were still walking slowly, as if they didn't want to run away because of killing people. "You two want to leave just like that? You don't put my Tang clan in your eyes." The old man didn't dare to get close to Ling Xiao and the savage leopard. After shouting, he raised his hand into the air, and something shot out from his hand. Bang! A dazzling firework exploded in the air. In the giant summit city, many people saw this firework. This is the Tang clan's distress signal. What's going on? Could it be that someone is provoking the Tang clan's dignity? It came from the Tang clan's weapon shop. There are two king stage stewards there. Could it be that something really happened? How many years has it been since I've seen the Tang clan send out a distress signal? It seems that someone has eaten a bear's heart and a leopard's gall. Don't they know that the giant summit city is the Tang clan's world? Let's go and see where this person came from. He's actually so bold. "Young master," he sent a signal, "should we?" The savage leopard said as he made a cutting motion. Ling Xiao said indifferently, "Let him be." After pausing for a moment, He said, "In the future, don't kill anyone without my orders." He came to the giant summit city to get the Tang clan's old man to help him reforge his ice and fire sword. At the same time, he also wanted to get the Tang clan's support so that he could hold an auction in Gu City. Now that the savage leopard had killed someone, it seemed that things were going to be difficult. The savage leopard nodded his head, but his eyes were filled with disdain. Ling Xiao brought the savage leopard to a restaurant that was closest to the Tang clan's weapon shop. They were not in a hurry to leave. The Tang clan's elder had been following behind them the entire time. His old eyes were filled with anger, but at the same time, they were filled with confusion. "Do you really not put my Tang clan in your eyes? Too arrogant. Even if you are the earthly emperor, don't even think about leaving today." The old man thought to himself. Chapter 422. The members of the Tang family in all directions of the giant summit city saw their family's distress signal. They were stunned at first, and then they all rushed to the weapon shop. In just a moment, hundreds of Tang family members had arrived. The mystic novice level had the most people. They were all guards that patrolled the city. There were also quite a number of spirit masters. They were all attendants that were scattered in all directions of the city. There were also around 20 king-level people. All of their expressions were filled with anxiety. A high-level king-level middle-aged man coldly glanced at the middle-aged spirit master and asked, "What happened?" The middle-aged spirit master immediately bowed and gave a brief account of what had just happened to the middle-aged king-tier spirit master. "You said that he killed Tang Shi with just one look?" The high-level king-level spirit master revealed a look of disbelief. The 20 or so king-rank experts behind him also revealed astonished expressions. "Yes, Elder Bai. Second young master's injuries aren't light. Let's go take a look." The middle-aged spirit master replied. "Bastards, immediately go and help Tang Rong. You dare kill someone from my Tang clan in the city? You must be tired of living," shouted the high-level king-level spirit master. He was led by the middle-aged spirit master into the rear courtyard. This high-level king-level spirit master was the 7th elder of the Tang family, Tang Bai. He was also the city lord of Giant Summit City. After entering the backyard, they saw Tang Owling being supported by 2 young girls as he walked out of the house. Let go of me. Go back and call the elders to deal with that little bastard," Tang Owling said to the girls beside him with difficulty. Ling Xiao had just ordered Savage Leopard to teach him a lesson. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to stand up and speak. The 2 girls were just about to speak when they saw Tang Bai walk in. They immediately said respectfully, "Greetings, 7th elder." Tang Bai didn't even look at the 2 girls. Instead, he looked at Tang Owling and asked, "Owling, are you all right?" "7th uncle, you came at the right time. Quickly go and catch that little bastard. I want to kill him myself," Tang Owling immediately said. "Don't worry, some elders have already gone to intercept that brat. I believe they'll be able to bring him back very quickly. You should first return to your room to recuperate," replied Tang Bai. "That's good. I'll personally see that little bastard beg for mercy. How dare he hurt me? He must be tired of living." Tang Owling's eyes flashed with malice. In a restaurant not far away, Ling Xiao and Cruel Leopard were calmly drinking wine and eating snacks. Savage Leopard drank a mouthful of wine and said, "Young master, you might as well kill your way to the Tang family and have them refine a spirit artifact for you. Why waste time with them?" Ling Xiao sipped a small mouthful of wine and smiled faintly. "Using force is not the best solution. If I force them to refine spirit tools for me, I'm afraid they won't do their best. Not to mention, I still need their help, so it's not good to resolve the enmity between us for now." Cruel Leopard found it difficult to communicate with Ling Xiao, so he simply closed his mouth and stopped talking. At this time, a large group of Tang family members rushed into the restaurant. When Tang Rong saw that his family's reinforcements had arrived, he immediately greeted them and shouted, "Old Zhong, they're inside." A high-level king sage said to Tang Rong, "The 7th elder has ordered that we must keep them here. We'll go in and capture them." Tang Rong pulled the high-level king stage back and said nervously, "Old Zhong, listen to me first." Then he whispered something in the high-level king stage's ear. The high-level king stage's expression became slightly ugly. "You said that one of them is a monarch stage master? That should be right, otherwise how would they dare to stay in Giant Summit City?" Tang Rong replied. Tang Zhong frowned. "No matter what, we must go in and take a look. If it's really a monarch stage master, immediately inform the family's elders to deal with them." After saying that, Tang Zhong led the 5 king stage masters into the restaurant. "The Tang family is handling a matter. Those who have no business here should leave quickly," Tang Zhong said to the people in the restaurant. Whoosh! As soon as the people in the restaurant heard Tang Zhong's words, they immediately ran away in panic. Even the shopkeeper didn't dare to stay, which showed how high the Tang family's prestige in Giant Summit City was. Tang Zhong stared at Ling Xiao and Cruel Leopard, who were still drinking. "Are they the ones who killed our Tang family's people?" Tang Zhong narrowed his eyes and asked Tang Rong. "Yes, they killed Tang Shi, and second young master also suffered a lot." Tang Rong nodded and replied. Tang Zhong strode in front of Ling Xiao and Cruel Leopard, and fiercely slapped the table between the two of them. Pa! The table between Ling Xiao and Cruel Leopard was instantly torn apart. Before Tang Zhong made his move, Ling Xiao had already taken out the wine pot and cup and said, "Uncle, don't act cool. Can't you see that I'm busy? If you disturb my mood, the consequences will be very serious." Tang Zhong glared at Ling Xiao and shouted, "I don't have time to waste with you. If you know what's good for you, quickly go back with me and wait for our Tang family's punishment. Otherwise, next year today will be your death." Before he could finish, Ling Xiao interrupted, "His words are too noisy." As soon as Ling Xiao's words fell, Cruel Leopard made his move. Pa! Tang Zhong didn't have any time to react, and was sent flying by Cruel Leopard's palm. Several bloody teeth flew out of his mouth. "Everyone, let's get rid of them together." Tang Rong immediately exclaimed. The king stage experts who came in immediately released all kinds of attacks at the same time. "Throw them out." Ling Xiao was still sitting steadily as he said to Cruel Leopard. Cruel Leopard licked his mouth, raised his hand, and a black fog wall pressed towards them. The king stage experts, including Tang Rong, were all sent flying out of the restaurant at the same time. They didn't die, but their injuries weren't light. The Tang family members outside the restaurant were shocked. Someone exclaimed, "Dark, dark attribute. Could it be that the Shadow Sex people have come? Quickly go back and report to the 7th elder. We need to go back and ask the elder of the previous generation to come out and help us," a king stage expert shouted. For a moment, no one from the Tang family dared to enter the restaurant again. However, they still tightly surrounded the restaurant, afraid that Ling Xiao and Cruel Leopard would escape. Not long after, Tang Bai personally rushed over. He first glanced at the people lying on the ground, then shouted towards the restaurant, "May I know which senior of the Shadow Sect has arrived?" His words were a lot more polite. After all, the Shadow Sect's prestige in the southern wasteland wasn't just for show. Even the Tang family, as one of the 4 great families, had to be careful. However, he had spoken for a while, but no one responded. "May I know which senior of the Shadow Sect has arrived?" Tang Bai asked again. This time there was a response. Something flew out of the restaurant's entrance. "Retreat." Tang Bai didn't know what flew out from inside, but he was immediately shocked and cried out to the people behind him. Rumble! That thing smashed in front of the restaurant's entrance, causing the ground to sink. What is it? Everyone from the Tang family had inexplicable question marks on their faces. Tang Bai boldly took a few steps forward and looked at the thing that had smashed out. He saw a black stone that weighed several hundred kilograms stuck in the pit. Tang Bai looked at the stone, and his pupils slightly shrank. His divine light blossomed with a scorching light as he said, This is 10,000-year mysterious iron?" As soon as these words came out, the expressions of the Tang family members behind Tang Bai changed, and they immediately rushed forward to take a look. It's really 10,000-year mysterious iron. Great, with it, the family can refine spirit tools again. This piece is at least several hundred kilograms, enough to refine dozens of spirit tools. Seventh elder quickly put it away, lest someone else takes it. One by one, the Tang family members excitedly pointed at it. The Tang family had been refining tools for generations, and each of them more or less knew the art of refining tools. They were even more familiar with the materials used for refining tools, so they all confirmed that the stone in front of them was 10,000-year mysterious iron. It was one of the main indispensable materials to refine any spirit tool or saint tool. Tang Bai looked at the 10,000-year mysterious iron and reached out to put it away. Swoosh! A black light shot out, and Tang Bai couldn't dodge in time. A small hole was instantly opened in his palm, and blood trickled out. Tang Bai endured the pain and retreated again and again, and the rest of the Tang family also retreated. Whoever dares to touch the mysterious iron will die. A cold voice came from inside the restaurant. The faces of the Tang family members changed. Although they were indignant, they didn't dare to take half a step forward. Tang Da, quickly go back and report this matter to the patriarch. Let him decide. Tang Bai shouted at someone while covering his palm. One of the King stage experts responded and quickly flew towards a certain direction. The Tang family's main camp wasn't in the city, but in a majestic mountain range outside the city. More than 10 mountain ranges were all occupied by the Tang family. Among them, the highest mountain peak was like a giant sword pointing to the sky. It looked abnormally steep and domineering. The king-level martial artist who reported flew directly to the middle of the highest mountain peak. That was where the Tang family patriarch lived, and also where the Tang family's tool refining pool was located. The Tang family's tool refining pool was a famous place for refining tools in the southern wasteland. It was said that heavenly lightning would often descend, and thunder and fire would blast into the pool, forming a thunder-fire pool. With the thunder and fire here, divine weapons could be forged. All the spirit weapons produced by the Tang family had been tempered by the thunder and fire in the artifact refining pool. The existence of the tool refining pool could be said to be the foundation of the Tang family's prosperity. Now the Tang family patriarch, Tang Tianhao, was refining weapons naked in front of the tool refining pool. Tang Tianhao was a high-level king-level martial artist and a fifth-stage blacksmith. He only needed to refine a spirit tool grandmaster. Clank! Tang Tianhao's face was covered in sweat as he swung the giant hammer on the knife. The knife became thinner and thinner, and the sharpness of the blade was highlighted. Sizzle! The big knife was thrown into the tool refining pool, which was filled with thick thunder and fire. It emitted a thick smoke, and the big knife actually melted in an instant. Tang Tianhao shook his head and said, "It's still not enough. Even 5,000 years of black profound iron can't withstand the burning of thunder and fire. Could it be that I, Tang Tianhao, can only stop here? Father, don't be discouraged. With Father's ability, I'm afraid that he has already stepped into the sixth stage. It's just that he lacks the materials to use the thunder and fire to refine it." A young man with a resolute appearance said. This young man was the Tang family's first young master, who was also Tang Tianhao's eldest son, Tang Guang. Chapter 423. The Tang family's father and son were the most outstanding blacksmiths in the past 2 generations. Although Tang Gueda only had the strength of a low-level king, he and his father were both fifth-rank blacksmiths and were known as the most promising blacksmith to become the next spirit tools grandmaster. But now, the Tang clan was facing a lack of main materials to refine spiritual weapons, so they could no longer refine spiritual weapons. The father and son were also troubled by this problem, so they temporarily stopped at the fifth-rank blacksmith realm. Tang Tianhao put on his clothes with the help of the servants and smiled at his son. "Don't comfort me. Although I've been in the fifth rank for many years, I still can't forge a peak fifth-rank profound weapon. This proves that your father's blacksmithing skills are not perfect enough." He paused for a moment before continuing. "It's been hard on you. Your great-grandfather has always said that you already have the qualifications to enter the sixth rank. It's a pity that our family's 7,000-year-old black iron has been used up and we haven't been able to find new materials for you to try forging a spirit tool. Otherwise, our Tang family would definitely have another spirit tools grandmaster. Tang Guoda revealed a confident expression. I've liked blacksmithing since I was young and put in more effort than others. Naturally, I can make better ones. It's a pity that I didn't gain anything in Gu City half a month ago and caused so many deaths in the family. Tang Tianhao patted him on the shoulder and said, You don't have to blame yourself. This was the unanimous decision of the family. It's just that you shouldn't have been allowed to go personally back then. I almost had to send you off. Just as Tang Guoda was about to say something, someone came to report, Patriarch, Donder has something important to discuss with you. The father and son stopped talking and walked out of the blacksmithing pool. Greetings, Patriarch, eldest young master. Donder bowed respectfully to the two. Donder, why are you so flustered? Tang Tianhao asked. Donder didn't hesitate and immediately reported to Tang Tianhao what had happened in front of the weapon shop and the restaurant. When he heard that the 10,000-year-old black iron had appeared in front of the restaurant, Tang Tianhao couldn't hide his excitement and exclaimed, It's really 10,000-year-old black iron. Are you sure you didn't see wrongly? Tang Guoda's expression also became excited. The Tang family had been lacking materials to forge spirit tools for many years and hadn't been able to buy them. How could they not be excited when they heard that such a high-quality material had appeared? It's absolutely true. Seventh Elder and I saw it with our own eyes. Donder replied firmly. Father, no matter what price we have to pay, we have to get it, Tang Guogue said with a burning gaze. Tang Tianhao took a deep breath and said, That belongs to the Magic Shadow sect. I really don't know what the other party is trying to do. Are they really here to forge spirit tools for spirit tools? Father, this matter cannot be delayed. We should immediately ask the previous generation elder to go out and see what the other party's intentions are. If the other party really has come to refine a spirit artifact, then no matter what, we must accept it. If they have come to cause trouble, then it is best to prepare early, said Tang Guo from the side. All right, Luo De, go and convey my intentions immediately. Invite Elder Jin and Elder Fu out of seclusion, Tang Tianhao replied. Just as Tang Gang accepted the order and left, he called out to Tang Guegua. Don't tell the old man about this first, otherwise he will personally come out to snatch it. He is in a critical period. It is better not to alarm him. I know, Tang Guoda replied and immediately left to ask the Tang family's elder to come out of seclusion. A quarter of an hour later, a few figures flew out of the Tang family and into the city. In the restaurant, Ling Xiao was still leisurely drinking wine and humming a little tune, looking indescribably carefree. Savage Leopard glanced in one direction and said, Young master, there are 2 Earth Emperors rushing over here. Ling Xiao nodded and said, Yes, it should be someone important from the Tang family. Whether or not it goes smoothly depends on this negotiation. Young master, since your goal is the central region, why are you still busy here? Savage Leopard asked the question in his heart. Ling Xiao looked at Savage Leopard and smiled. You can't wait to go back to the central region to take revenge? Savage Leopard replied. Thousands of years have passed. I think that guy has already broken through to the Saint Realm. With my current strength, I am still not his match. Even if I want to recover my strength, I will still need to rely on young master's help. In these 2 small places like the southern wasteland and the northwest, there are too few rare things, so I feel that young master will only know how big this world is and how many experts there are. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and said, Are you worried that I will be satisfied with the current situation? Or do you think that I am too short-sighted? Savage Leopard replied. Savage Leopard doesn't dare. Ling Xiao took a sip of wine and said, How could I not want to go to the central region immediately and take a look at the center of the continent where experts are like the clouds? However, there are some things that I have to do. I can guarantee that in less than 3 years, I will definitely go to the central region to take a good look at the place where you used to live and see if it is as good as you say. At this moment, a few powerful auras from the Tang family landed outside the restaurant. Greetings, Patriarch. Greetings, Elders. When the people from the Tang family saw who it was, They immediately bowed and greeted in unison. The people who came were Tang Tianhao, Tang Guogua, Tang De, and the two Earth Emperors of the Tang family. "Where is the 10,000-year black iron?" Tang Tianhao immediately asked. Tang Bai pointed to the deep pit at the side and said, "Over there." Before Tang Tianhao could react, Tang Guogua had already arrived in front of the deep pit. "It really is 10,000-year black iron. Looking at this texture, it should be far more than 10,000 years old. It really is a top-grade black iron," Tang Guogua muttered as he emitted a scorching light. So. Tang Tianhao and the two Earth Emperors of the Tang family instantly arrived in front of the deep pit. "It really is 10,000-year black iron. Such a large piece is probably 700 to 800 kilograms. Tang Tianhao swallowed his saliva and said. The two Earth Emperors beside him also revealed incomparably excited expressions. As a family of blacksmiths, the Tang family desired this kind of high-grade equipment more than ordinary high-grade spirit herbs. This kind of black iron that was more than 10,000 years old usually existed in some dangerous places and was very difficult to excavate. 10 kilograms of this kind of 10,000-year black iron was enough to forge a spirit weapon. Its value was comparable to a 6-tier high-grade spirit herb. And this piece of 10,000-year black iron in front of them, even if the Tang family had to take out dozens of 6-tier high-grade spirit herbs or a few 7th-tier spirit herbs to exchange for it, they wouldn't feel that they were at a disadvantage. The premise was that they could take out such a high-grade spirit herb collection. "Father, you must take it," Tang Guogua said solemnly to Tang Tianhao in a low voice. Tang Tianhao didn't hide his intentions and nodded heavily. He thought to himself, with this piece of black iron, my Tang family can forge spirit weapons again. Guogua also has a chance of becoming a spirit weapon master. Let's go in and see which senior from the Shadow Sect is here, Tang Tianhao said and immediately walked into the restaurant. Tang Guogua, Tang Bai, and the two earthly emperors followed nervously. The other members of the Tang family didn't have enough status, so they could only guard the big piece of 10,000-year black iron outside. They couldn't let it disappear without a trace. After Tang Tianhao walked into the restaurant, his expression froze when he saw Ling Xiao and Cruel Leopard. He heard Donder's report that there were earthly emperors from the Shadow Sect in the restaurant. However, when he saw how young these two people were, he couldn't help but be puzzled. The handsome young man with a faint smile on his face could be seen with a glance that he had the strength of a low-level king stage cultivator. But he couldn't see the strength of the young man beside him who was in his early 30s. Tang Tianhao's gaze fell on Cruel Leopard. When he met Cruel Leopard's gaze that was filled with killing intent, he felt as uncomfortable as if he had been bitten by a poisonous snake. Could it be that he isn't an earthly emperor, but a heavenly venerable who has cultivated to regain his youth? Tang Tianhao thought in shock. Before he could speak, Tang Guogua's gaze fell on Ling Xiao and asked in surprise, "Benefactor, do you remember me?" Ling Xiao glanced at Tang Guogua, and a familiar impression appeared in his mind. He immediately said, "I think I saw you in Goose City, right?" Tang Guogua nodded repeatedly, then said to an Earth Emperor stage elder beside him, "Elder Jean, do you still remember him?" The Earth Emperor stage elder stood up and cupped his hands towards Ling Xiao. "Little brother, we meet again. Thank you for your help that day. Otherwise, eldest young master and I would have died in Goose City." Tang Guogua and the Earth Emperor of the Tang family were the Tang family members who had gone to Goose City. They were the two members of the Tang family who had luckily survived. If Ling Xiao hadn't given them the illusion-breaking potion, they probably wouldn't have been able to stand here and talk. That Earth Sovereign Realm old man's name was Tang Jin, and he was a mid-level Earth Sovereign Realm expert. He was a loyal servant of the Tang clan's old master, and Tangaij was the appointed successor of the Tang clan's old master. Therefore, he addressed Tangaij as young master. The reason why Tang Guogua and Tang Jin recognized Ling Xiao at a glance was not only because Ling Xiao had helped them that day, but also because they clearly remembered everything that had happened on the way to Goose City. 4 of the 5 great evildoers of the southern wasteland actually listened to him, and there was also a blood Azura who had continuously advanced. The 5 great evildoers had been famous in the southern wasteland for decades. All of their strengths were unfathomable, and they were all unruly, cruel, and bloodthirsty people. They actually listened to the words of a young man who was only in his 20s. This made them wonder if Ling Xiao was someone from a major power in the central region. As for Kai Xiaoyu, she had made a series of breakthroughs on her way to Gu City. Her speed had simply made history in the southern wasteland, and she had become the target that all the forces wanted to rope in. Unexpectedly, the fairy-like woman had snuggled into the arms of a low-level king stage cultivator. No one would be able to forget that scene for the rest of their lives. At that time, Tang Guogua had even envied Ling Xiao for being able to enjoy such a beautiful life. Now that Ling Xiao had appeared here, it wasn't surprising that they were able to recognize Ling Xiao at a glance. When Ling Xiao saw the young man and the old man, he remembered that the two of them had claimed to be from the Tang family. He thought to himself, "What a coincidence. It seems like things will be much easier." Ling Xiao stood up, cupped his hands, and said, "It's just a small matter. You don't have to worry about it. By the way, brother, how should I address you? My name is Tang Guogua, and this is my father. This is my family's previous elder, Elder Jean." After Tang Guogua introduced himself, he introduced himself as a member of the Tang family. If Ling Xiao was just an ordinary low-level king stage cultivator, Tang Guogua naturally wouldn't be so polite. However, he had seen Ling Xiao's ability, so he naturally didn't dare to be careless. Chapter 424. Tang Tianhao, the other Earth King of the Tang family, and Tang Bai were all surprised. Who on earth was this young man? How could he make the arrogant Tang Gu so enthusiastic and Tang Jin so polite? Ling Xiao cupped his hands and said, "I'm Ling Xiao. Greetings, everyone. So it's Brother Ling. What business do you have in Giant Summit City? This is the Tang family's territory. If you need my help, just ask." Tang Gu asked, "Yes, you saved my family's Guda and Elder Jean. If the Tang family can help, just ask." Tang Tianhao echoed from the side. "I've heard that Master Tang is a famous master artificer, so I've come to ask Master Tang to help me refine a spirit artifact. Unexpectedly, I was mistaken for a swindler. I wanted to leave, but I was stopped by someone, so I had no choice but to defend myself. My subordinate didn't have any sense of propriety, so please forgive me if I've offended you." Ling Xiao tactfully explained his intention. He wanted to see if the Tang family's people were as unreasonable as before. If so, don't blame him for being impolite. Tang Tianhao had heard Tang Da's report before coming, but it wasn't very clear. He immediately asked Tang Bai, "Seventh brother? What's going on?" Tang Bai replied, "It's Ao Ling who felt that these two didn't look like they were here to forge spiritual weapons. So, there was an unnecessary misunderstanding. But you two don't put the Tang family in your eyes. First, you hurt Ao Ling, then you killed Tang Shi. Even if you're good as friends, you can't be so excessive. Take the risk. My young master will die." Savage Leopard, who hadn't spoken yet, said with bloodthirsty eyes. As soon as these words were spoken, the expressions of everyone in the Tang clan changed. "What an arrogant tone. Wait till I capture you first. Then I'll properly settle this grudge with you." The other Earth Emperor of the Tang clan shouted in displeasure, and he formed a claw with one hand and grabbed at the Savage Leopard's neck. Tang Jin was shocked and immediately stopped his companion's claw. He shouted, "Old Fu, don't be rude. Old Jin, why did you stop me?" Tang Fu stared at Tang Jin in confusion. "Let's get to the bottom of this matter first." Tang Jin winked at Tang Fu. Tang Jin might not know the power behind Ling Xiao, but just based on the fact that Ling Xiao could make the four great villains listen to him, he could not easily become enemies with him. Otherwise, it would cause big trouble for the Tang family. What's there to say? The facts are already in front of us. Old Jin, get out of the way. Let me capture them first, and then we'll deal with them. Tang Fu ignored Tang Jin's wink and shouted. He once again grabbed the Savage Leopard. He thought that it was inconvenient for Tang Jin to make a move because the other party had helped them before. This time, Tang Jin couldn't stop it. Tang Fu's hand had already pinched the neck of the maimed leopard. "Elder Fu, please show mercy," Tang Gaij exclaimed. "Kacha! Ah!" The sound of bones breaking rang out, and an earth-shattering scream resounded throughout the restaurant. Everyone thought that Savage Leopard's neck was broken by Tang Fu, but when they heard the scream, they saw Tang Fu holding his arm and retreating, his old face covered in cold sweat. The people from the Tang family were dumbfounded. Although Tang Fu's strength was slightly weaker than Tang Jin's, he was still a low-level Earth Emperor. They felt that it was inconceivable that his arm was broken by a young man in his early 30s. No wonder someone said that the other party was an Earth Emperor stage expert. It seemed that it was this young man in front of them. Overestimating yourself, the Savage Leopard said disdainfully and rushed towards Tang Fu. Please show mercy, Tang Jin shouted and blocked in front of the Savage Leopard. The Savage Leopard also revealed a look of contempt and slapped towards Tang Jin. Tang Jin could only meet it with his fist. Puff! Tang Jin was sent flying by the Savage Leopard's palm. He felt a sweetness in his throat and spat out a mouthful of blood. The Savage Leopard's murderous nature rose, and he wanted to kill Tang Jin and Tang Fu with his palm. The people from the Tang family took out their Xian artifacts and fought with all their might. All right, come back, Ling Xiao said indifferently. The Savage Leopard unwillingly stopped and returned to Ling Xiao's side. Ling Xiao opened the beauty fan and said to the people from the Tang family, "My subordinate doesn't have any sense of propriety. Please forgive him for his offense." Hearing this, the expressions of the people from the Tang family became unnatural. They were the ones who wanted to capture him, but they were injured by him. They had lost a lot of face. On the other hand, Tang Jin calmed his injuries and said to Ling Xiao, "Thank you, young Master Ling, for showing mercy." Then he said to Tang Tianhao, "Patriarch, I think it's necessary to get the people involved to apologize to young Master Ling. I think that with young Master Ling's character, he won't bully ordinary people." Tang Jin already knew that the Savage Leopard's strength was definitely much higher than his. It was at least the strength of a high-level Earth Emperor. The strength of a servant was already so terrifying. One could imagine how terrifying the power behind Ling Xiao was. Moreover, in their Tang family, the strongest old man was in seclusion. It was not appropriate for them to form a grudge with Ling Xiao. Father, Brother Ling saved my and Elder Jin's lives in Gu City. I think he is definitely not someone who bullies the weak. Moreover, we all know Second Brother's temper. I think it's better to let Second Brother apologize to Brother Ling. I believe that Brother Ling will forgive us, Tang Owling said from the side. At this moment, Tang Tianhao naturally knew that the two young men in front of him were not to be trifled with. Naturally, he would not think that he could bully them in his own territory. "Seventh brother, bring that child, Owling, over to me," Tang Tianhao said. Tang Bai nodded lightly and immediately left the restaurant. "Brother Ling, I'm really sorry. It's one thing for not being a good host when you came to our Tang family's territory, but it also made you feel wronged." Tang Owling apologized to Ling Xiao. Tang Owling was very clear that people like Ling Xiao should only be befriended and should not be enemies. Moreover, it was worth it for him to put down his pride for the 10 millennia meteoric iron outside. "You're too kind. Everyone, please take a seat. Don't spoil the mood for such a small matter." Ling Xiao laughed lightly. He did not treat himself as an outsider and spoke as the host instead. "Little brother Ling, you said that you wanted to ask my old man to forge a spirit weapon?" Tang Tianhao asked after sitting down. "That's right. Everyone in the southern region knows that the Tang family's old man is a spirit weapon master. I have a suitable weapon that I want the old man to forge again. That's why I brought the materials and rushed over. I didn't expect that I would be treated as a liar. It really makes me feel ashamed." Ling Xiao replied as he waved his beautiful fan. "I will definitely give little brother Ling an explanation for this," Tang Tianhao replied. He then said, "Little brother Ling, you should know that to forge a spirit weapon, you have to prepare your own materials, right? Of course I know the rules. Don't you see the 10 millennia meteoric iron at the door? Isn't it enough to forge a spirit weapon for me?" Ling Xiao raised his eyes and asked. Although Ling Xiao didn't know how to forge weapons, he still had some basic knowledge. He also knew a little about how many spirit weapons that 10 millennia meteoric iron could be forged. No, it's enough. But just the 10 millennia meteoric iron isn't enough. I also need a high-level beast core. Tang Tianhao waved his hand. Naturally, there is no need for Patriarch Tang to worry about this. As long as Old Man Tang is willing to help me refine a spirit artifact, Ling Xiao will do everything according to the rules. I will not make things difficult for Patriarch Tang, Ling Xiao replied. That's good. I'll accept this business deal on behalf of my old man, Brother Ling. But Tang Tianhao responded, and then showed some hesitation. Just say what you want to say. Ling Xiao didn't know what Tang Tianhao was planning. But I want to make a change in the payment, Tang Tianhao said. Ling Xiao frowned slightly. He seemed to have guessed that Tang Tianhao wanted to rip him off at a high price. Tang Tianhao saw that Ling Xiao's expression wasn't right and hurriedly said, Little brother Ling, don't misunderstand. I'm saying that we don't need your Shen crystals for the payment. We want you to exchange the rest of the 10 millennia meteoric iron. How about that? Ling Xiao waved his beautiful fan and laughed. Ha! Do you think I'm a 3-year-old child, Master Tang? 10 millennia meteoric iron is rare. It doesn't take much to forge a spirit weapon, but my meteoric iron weighs a few hundred kilograms. It's enough for your Tang family to forge dozens of spirit weapons. You want me to exchange the rest of the 10 millennia meteoric iron? That's too black-hearted. Ling Xiao was a shrewd man. How could he do something that would make him lose money? Tang Tianhao's expression became a little awkward. He originally thought that Ling Xiao didn't know the true value of the 10 millennia meteoric iron. Moreover, the 10 millennia meteoric iron was just an extremely hard stone in the hands of an ordinary person. Its true value could only be displayed in the hands of a weapon forger. He thought that Ling Xiao would help the Tang family for the spirit weapon. Unfortunately, Ling Xiao was smarter than he thought. Little brother Ling, you misunderstood my father's meaning. He wants you to exchange a portion of the 10 millennia meteoric iron for the payment. The Tang family can buy the other portion from you, or use other items of the same level to exchange for it. Tang Luo's mind worked quickly, and he immediately helped his father out. Is that really the case, Master Tang? Ling Xiao asked Tang Tianhao. Tang Tianhao came back to his senses and immediately nodded. That's right. That's what I mean. What do you think, little brother Ling? About this, Ling Xiao showed a look of hesitation. Tang Tianhao thought that Ling Xiao was moved by his son's idea, so he tried to persuade him even more. This 10 millennia meteoric iron is a good item, but it's just useless scrap metal in your hands. Why don't you sell it to the Tang family for a favor? Yes, little brother Ling, sell it to the Tang family. Tang Luo echoed. At this time, Tang Jin also opened his mouth. That's right. As long as young Master Ling sells the remaining dark steel to the Tang family, we will be young Master Ling's friends in the future. That sounds like a good idea, Ling Xiao said, looking a little shaken. The Tang family immediately revealed a look of joy that was hard to detect. Who knew that cruel leopard would say from the side, Young Master, I think we might be able to get a better price if we auction it at the auction. The moment Savage Leopard's words came out, the Tang family people practically all had a feeling of wanting to vomit blood. They were clearly about to succeed, but it was actually disrupted by someone else. If they sold it at the auction, they were afraid that the Tang family would have to pay a high price to get it. Although the Tang family was a family of refiners, it didn't mean that other forces didn't have high-level refiners. Just when the Tang family wanted to persuade them again, Tang Bai brought Tang Owling over. Cruel Leopard's words made them want to vomit blood, but Tang Owling's words made them want to commit suicide. Ha! Little bastard, you actually dared to kill this young master. Now you know how powerful the Tang family is. Quickly kneel down and kowtow to this young master. This young master will give you a quick death. Tang Owling didn't understand the situation and laughed at Ling Xiao and Cruel Leopard. Chapter 425. When Tang Bai went to pick Tang Owling up, he didn't explain the situation clearly. He thought that no matter how strong Ling Xiao and his brother were, they wouldn't go overboard. As the saying goes, a powerful dragon can't suppress a snake in its territory. He was only worried about what Ling Xiao and his brother would do to Tang Aoling, but he neglected Tang Aoling's arrogant and insufferably arrogant character. Bastard! Tang Tianhao shouted angrily. He turned around and gave Tang Aoling a hard slap. Slap! Tang Aoling didn't know what was going on and was sent flying a few meters away by Tang Tianhao. 2 bloody front teeth fell out of his mouth, and he looked indescribably embarrassed. Tang Aoling was dumbfounded by the slap. Why did his uncle, who had always doted on him, hit him? You little bastard! Come and apologize to little brother Ling. If you don't satisfy him, I'll break your legs. Tang Tianhao shouted at Tang Aoling. Tang Aoling was his second brother's only son, and he had always indulged Tang Aoling's stubborn behavior. But now it was a matter of the Tang clan's future and whether they could get their hands on the Millennium Meteoric Iron. Unexpectedly, this good-for-nothing nephew of his had first offended him, and now he actually dared to spout such arrogant words. It simply made him want to kill him with one palm. What are you waiting for? Go and apologize to little brother Ling. Tang Jin frowned. Tang Aoling glanced at the elders of his clan and shivered. He asked in confusion, Master, Great Elder, why did you, for an outsider? Before he could finish, Tang Bai quickly interrupted him. Aoling, you still don't know how to repent? Do you want 7th uncle to send you on your way? When he said this, he kept winking at Tang Aoling. Tang Aoling finally knew that the 2 young men in front of him must have a powerful background. Otherwise, why would the higher-ups of the Tang clan be so nervous and scold him like this? You don't know what's good for you. Go and apologize. Tang Fu glared at Tang Aoling and shouted. He knew that if it wasn't for Tang Aoling, his arm wouldn't have been broken. Although it could recover, it would be a disgrace to him, so he could only vent his anger on Tang Aoling. Tang Aoling shuddered again. Tang Jin and Tang Fu were the pillars of the family, and they had a high status. Now that they were scolding him like this, he did not have the guts to say another word. He crawled up and bowed slightly to Ling Xiao and Savage Leopard. Sorry, I'm sorry, both of you. When he said this, his eyes were filled with unwillingness. He was the dignified second young master of the Tang family. When had he ever been bullied like this? But now he could only swallow it down. Ling Xiao didn't respond to Tang Aoling's apology because he could see the dissatisfaction in Tang Aoling's eyes. He thought to himself, look at how reluctant you are. You think I'm the one who forced myself on you. What bad luck. Seeing that Ling Xiao didn't respond, Tang Tianhao snorted coldly. If you can't satisfy little brother Ling, you won't be a disciple of the Tang family in the future. Tang Aoling was scared by Tang Tianhao's words. His whole body softened and he begged, I'm sorry. I looked down on you. It's my fault. Tang Aoling didn't dare to be arrogant anymore. He kept covering his face and cried as he begged Ling Xiao. If he was expelled from the Tang family, he would be dismembered in less than a day. He didn't know how many people he had offended and how many women he had raped. Ling Xiao still had to discuss business with the Tang family, so he didn't want to have a bad relationship with the Tang family. He waved his hand and said, For the sake of the Tang family, I'll let this matter go. Next time, watch your eyes before you speak. How can there be a swindler as handsome as me in the world? Thank you. Thank you. Tang Aoling wiped his snot and thanked him repeatedly. He felt lucky that he had escaped this calamity. However, before he could finish, he heard Tang Tianhao's voice. Go back. I'll punish you to forge iron at the foundry peak for 5 years before you can leave. That way, you won't be able to cause trouble all day long. Tang Aoling's heart fell to the bottom. The foundry peak was the place where the lowest position in the Tang family was located. The main purpose of that place was to select the materials that could be forged from the ores that were transported back from various places. After those materials were filtered, they would be forged into various weapon shapes and sent to various departments to be forged into weapons. It could be said that it was the most worthless and the most difficult place. Tang Aoling, who had always been spoiled, had to live in such a place for 5 years. It was as if he was half dead. Looking at Tang Aoling stumbling out of the restaurant, Tang Tianhao sighed in his heart. I hope that his temper can be tempered there. Tang Tianhao turned to Ling Xiao and said, I wonder if little brother Ling is satisfied with this matter? Ling Xiao spread out his hands and said innocently, This is Patriarch Tang's family matter. I really have no right to interfere. Tang Tianhao was truly aggrieved in his heart. This fellow was purely acting obedient after getting Pingyi, but for the sake of the 10,000-year black iron, he had to endure it. Patriarch Tang, let's get back to business. Other than forging a spirit weapon, I don't want to discuss a big business with you. I wonder if Patriarch Tang is interested? Ling Xiao had already achieved his goal, so he no longer made things difficult for Tang Tianhao and changed the topic. Oh, that's good. Tang Tianhao replied with interest. Just as Ling Xiao was about to speak, Tang Guang said, Father, letting Brother Ling talk business with you here is really not the way our Tang family treats our guests. Tang Tianhao lightly slapped his forehead and said, Yes, yes, this Tang is rude. Little Brother Ling has just arrived at Giant Summit City. Why don't you come to my Tang family to rest first and let us do our duty as a host? Of course, Ling Xiao had no objections. He immediately nodded and said, Then I'll have to trouble you. The restaurant was empty, and all the disciples of the Tang family quickly evacuated. Ling Xiao and the savage leopard followed Tang Tianhao and the others as they flew towards the Tang family. Ling Xiao looked at the land occupied by the Tang family. It was indeed not inferior to an ordinary 8th-grade sect. The land was vast, the mountains were beautiful, and the buildings were majestic and extraordinary. Just as they approached the vicinity of the Tang family, they immediately heard the sound of iron weapons clashing between the mountains. Occasionally, they could even see the shadows of spirit beasts soaring into the sky. It must be an abnormality when a certain profound artifact was completed. Ling Xiao thought to himself, as expected of a refining family. Just this skill alone is enough for them to survive for generations. Ling Xiao followed the people of the Tang family to the main pavilion of the Tang family. After entering an elegant pavilion, someone immediately brought over exquisite spirit fruits and wine. After a round of drinking and chatting, Tang Tianhao finally couldn't help but get to the point. Little brother Ling, what do you think of our proposal? Other than forging a spirit weapon for you, the rest of the 10,000-year black iron can be bought or exchanged with our Tang family. In this aspect, we will definitely satisfy you. Tang family head, this matter is actually very easy to discuss. Ling Xiao said, keeping him in suspense. What do you mean? Tang Tianhao asked doubtfully. Ling Xiao took a sip of the wine and said to Tang Guogua, I believe Brother Tang has seen me in Gu City. Tang Guogua nodded very naturally. Then Ling Xiao said, Actually, you are also curious about my identity. Now, for the sake of the cooperation between the two families, I will tell you my true identity. This is the first time I have revealed my identity. As soon as Ling Xiao said this, it immediately attracted the curiosity of everyone present, especially Tang Guogua and Tang Jin. They had seen Ling Xiao being followed by the 4 great villains, and now that there was a young high-level Earth Emperor beside him, they couldn't wait to know Ling Xiao's identity. Ling Xiao said seriously, Actually, I am the prince consort of the Gu clan. Ling Xiao's words were not false. He was indeed the current prince consort of the Gu clan, but he had another identity that was not convenient to reveal to them. Prince consort of the Gu clan? The people of the Tang family were shocked by Ling Xiao's identity. 10,000 years ago, the Gu clan was the overlord of the southern wasteland. Even the current Devil Shadow sect could not compare to them. This was enough to show the status of the Gu clan in the southern wasteland. The Gu clan had disappeared for 10,000 years, and not many people knew that the Gu clan still had descendants that existed between the boundaries of the Purple Sky sect and the Moon-worshipping sect. If it was in the past, the Tang family would definitely be shocked when they heard about the Gu clan. But now, they only felt that it was a little inconceivable. Could it be that the Gu clan was not completely exterminated? I know you are very suspicious, but this is not important. What is important is that I want to rebuild Gu City, and I will welcome my clansmen back soon. Ling Xiao did not explain in detail and continued. Little brother Ling, you said so much, But it doesn't seem to be a big deal with the 10,000-year black iron, right? Tang Tianhao could not help but interrupt him. He muttered in his heart, even if you are the prince consort of the Gu City, it has nothing to do with our Tang family, and it seems to have nothing to do with the 10,000-year black iron. Why are you saying so much nonsense? Ling Xiao replied, this is a big deal. I took out the 10,000-year black iron from the clan's treasury. Other than refining a spirit weapon for me, I hope that it can make the Tang family support us in rebuilding the city in the name of the Tang family. What does the Tang family think? Tang Tianhao frowned and replied, little brother Ling, you think too highly of our Tang family. Other than knowing how to forge iron, our Tang family does not have any other strong points. I am afraid that we do not have the ability to help you rebuild the city. Tang Tianhao's words were obviously a tactful rejection. Even if the other party used the 10,000-year black iron as a deal, he would not help the Gu clan rebuild the city. After all, rebuilding a city required a huge amount of money and manpower, and it was not something that could be completed in a day and night, so he could not accept it. Tang family head, you have misunderstood me. Listen to me first, Ling Xiao replied, then continued. As for the rebuilding of the city, there will naturally be people who will help me with this matter. I only need the Tang family head to support our auction in Gu City and provide us with high-grade profound weapons or spirit weapons to auction in the name of the Tang family. Of course, the related income will still belong to the Tang family, and we will take a smaller commission than other auctions. You mean to say that you want the Tang family to provide the goods for the auction in Gu City? Tang Tianhao replied. Yes, that is what I mean. Ling Xiao replied with a nod. Father, I think this is worth considering. Tang Gu interrupted from the side. Tang Tianhao glanced at his son. Of course, he knew that his son did not want the 10,000-year black iron to slip away from his hands. How could he not want it to? It was just that the implications were a little big, and he had to consider it carefully. Chapter 426. The Tang clan had been rooted in the southern wasteland for many years, so there was no need to explain their blacksmithing skills. However, just like the old saying, rely on the mountain, rely on the water, the Tang clan naturally relied on blacksmithing to make a living. The Tang clan provided a certain amount of resources to the auctions in the various cities of the southern wasteland, and the Divine Dao City's auction was one of them. Tang Tianhao's concern was that the Divine Dao City and Gu City were neighbors, so the auction was naturally very close to each other. He was afraid that there would be a conflict, and the Tang clan could only provide resources to one of the auctions. The Tang clan and the Divine Dao City's auction had been working together for many years, so they obviously did not want to give up so easily. However, this 10,000-year-old meteoric iron was not something that the Divine Dao Union could take out. This put Tang Tianhao in a difficult position. The Gu clan was once a large clan. Although they were almost exterminated, the power that Ling Xiao showed now should not be inferior to the many powers in the southern region. However, although the Deity Dao Union was a large sect that had only developed in the past 1,000 years, there was no need to doubt its accumulations and strength. Even if their Tang clan had a longer history, they knew that they could not compare to the current Deity Dao Union. Naturally, they could not let go of that 10,000-year-old meteoric iron, but they had to think about how to deal with it. Tang clan head, this is too abrupt. I will stay in the city for 3 more days. Whether I agree or not, I will leave. Ling Xiao knew that Tang Tianhao would not agree immediately, so he delayed the time for a few days to let him think about it. However, just as Ling Xiao was about to leave, he turned his head towards the Tang family and said, "That's right. I think I still have a piece of something called 10,000-year deep silver. I used a profound level weapon to slash it but was unable to break it. It should be a pretty good refining material. If Grandfather Tang is willing to help me refine a spiritual weapon, I would like to add some of this material into it." 10,000-year-old deep silver? Everyone in the Tang clan cried out in surprise, their faces filled with shock. "Brother Ling, where is your 10,000-year-old deep silver? Can you take it out for me to see?" Tang Lingua was the first to grab Ling Zhao's hand and said excitedly. Ling Xiao skillfully broke away from Tang Guogua's hand and said, "Brother Tang, I am not interested in men. I think you have found the wrong person." Tang Guoda knew that he was being rude, so he scratched the back of his head and laughed dryly. "Brother Ling, I'm sorry, I was too excited. I'm not interested in men either." At this moment, Tang Tianhao rushed to say, "Little brother Ling, you really have 10,000-year deep silver." Maybe a little," Ling Xiao said hesitantly. "A little? Is it this big?" Tang Tianhao gestured with his palm. His hand gesture was about the size of a human head. A little bigger than that," Ling Xiao said hesitantly. Tang Tianhao looked delighted and gestured again. "Is it this big again?" He made a hugging gesture with his hands, indicating whether it was as big as two people's heads put together. Ling Xiao hesitated for a moment before saying, "I think it's a little bigger than this." This time, Tang Tianhao wasn't the only one who was delighted. Even the members of the Tang family revealed heated expressions. "Can Brother Ling take it out for us to see?" Tang Guoda licked his lips. "This isn't too good?" Ling Xiao said with a troubled expression. "We're just looking." Tang Tianhao rubbed his hands. Yes, we're just looking." The members of the Tang family replied in unison. "I paid a huge price to get this from the river," Ling Xiao said unwillingly, as if the 10,000-year deep silver was his lifeblood. The members of the Tang family were anxious. 10,000-year deep silver was a rare top-grade material like 10,000-year dark steel. A normal spirit tool could be forged into a low-grade spirit tool by adding any one of the materials. If two materials were added at the same time, the spirit tool's grade would increase greatly. To the Tang family, which had always been lacking top-grade materials, this was a huge temptation. "Brother Ling, as long as you can take out the 10,000-year deep silver, I'll promise you on behalf of my father to supply the Gu City auction," Tang Guoda said as he patted his chest. He had been obsessed with spirit tool forging since he was young, which was why he was already a 5th-grade spirit tool forging master at such a young age. Now that there was a top-grade material appearing, he was naturally more anxious than anyone else. Tang Tianhao knew that he was going to fall into Ling Xiao's trap this time, so he could only reply with a smile. "Yes, Brother Ling, just take it out for us to see. If it really is 10,000-year deep silver, our Tang family will definitely support the Gu City auction." Ling Xiao finally revealed a faint smile and said, "All right, seeing that Patriarch Tang and Brother Tang are so enthusiastic, I'll let you see." With that, Ling Xiao took out the piece of 10,000-year deep silver that he had obtained from the Longtao River. Bang! A large piece of 10,000-year deep silver heavily smashed onto the stone slabs on the ground, and the ground immediately caved in. The members of the Tang family all looked at the piece of 10,000-year deep silver, which was no smaller than 10,000-year dark steel, with their mouths wide open. They were all secretly exclaiming, "Didn't you say it was only a little? How could there be so much? This is too much, but I like it." They had originally thought that according to Ling Xiao's description, the 10,000-year deep silver in his hands should only be a few dozen kilograms. They didn't expect that he would take out a few hundred kilograms, which made them go wild with joy. It's really 10,000-year deep silver," Tang Guogua said excitedly as he looked at the huge stone that was flashing with silver light. His eyes were as if he had seen a peerless beauty, and he couldn't wait to immediately possess her. The rest of the Tang family members also had the same expression. With the 10,000-year dark steel and the 10,000-year deep silver, they could definitely forge more than 100 spirit artifacts within 100 years. It would allow their Tang family to reach an unprecedented level of prosperity, allowing their Tang family's strength to advance by a large step. However, they also knew that the two rare materials in front of them did not belong to the Tang family. If they wanted to obtain them, the price they had to pay could be imagined. If it was an ordinary martial artist, they could use both carrot and stick methods to snatch it away. However, facing the Gu race's son-in-law, they really didn't know what to do. "Little brother Ling, regarding the problem you mentioned earlier, I think I can use the Tang family's name to decide to support your Gu City auction." Our Tang family will provide at least 10 rank 4 profound artifacts and 5 rank 5 profound artifacts for you to auction every month. Furthermore, we will provide at least 1 spirit artifact for you to auction every year. The condition is that you must sell the 10,000-year dark steel and 10,000-year deep silver to our Tang family. How about it? Tang Tianhao immediately changed his original intention and said. He felt that even if he had to risk offending the deity Dao Union, he had to keep these 2 materials in the Tang family. Tang Tianhao originally thought that Ling Xiao would readily agree after hearing this. Who knew that Ling Xiao revealed a look of deep thought and said, Tang family head, I know that you are in a difficult position, but for you to agree to my request for these 2 lousy stones, I feel very uneasy. How about this? You can think about it carefully. I'm really not in a hurry. Actually, no one knew the importance of these 2 materials to the Tang family better than Ling Xiao. Thinking back to when he was in Meteor City, his adoptive father, Li Rong, was a rank 3 blacksmith. Although he did not learn any blacksmithing techniques from Li Rong, he had a simple understanding of the preciousness of some blacksmithing materials. What he was doing now was completely retreating in order to advance, to fight for a bigger bargaining chip for himself. To be honest, although these 2 materials were precious, they were really useless in his hands. Unless he really threw them into the auction, they would only be kept as decorations. When the Tang family people heard Ling Xiao call the 10,000-year dark steel and 10,000-year deep silver lousy stones, they all cursed in their hearts. You're not in a hurry, but we're in a hurry. You really have eyes, but you can't see. That's a top-quality treasure. What an ignorant outsider. Why don't you throw those lousy stones at us? Little brother Ling, we don't need to think about this anymore. In the name of the Tang family's patriarch, I can promise you right now. Tang Tianhao once again patted his chest and promised. That's not very good. I, Ling Xiao, have never liked to force others. I think you should think about it carefully. In any case, I haven't left Giant Summit City in a short period of time. Ling Xiao said very magnanimously. Tang Tianhao looked anxious. Just as he was about to say something, Tang Ge said, Brother Ling is right. We have to think about it carefully. How about this? Brother Ling can stay in our Tang family for the next few days and take a look at our Tang family's blacksmithing skills. Tang Tianhao looked at his son and immediately came to a realization. That's right, little brother Ling, you should stay and take a look at our Tang family's blacksmithing skills. It will definitely make you feel that this trip is not in vain. Moreover, if you want to forge a spirit weapon, we still have to ask the old man before we can decide. His son had interrupted them well. They were too eager. Anyone could see that they had an extreme desire for the 10,000-year dark steel and 10,000-year deep silver. However, this also let others know of their eagerness, so they would definitely increase their purchase or exchange chips in this aspect. Then, they had to carefully consider how to face Ling Xiao's lion's mouth. Ling Xiao hesitated for a moment before saying, Since the Tang family's patriarch and brother Tang are so enthusiastic, then I will nag. Guluo, arrange for little brother Ling and this lord to rest first. You must properly entertain these 2 esteemed guests. Tomorrow you will bring them to visit our forging grounds. Tang Tianhao instructed. Father, don't worry. I will definitely not treat these 2 distinguished guests poorly. Tang Guluo replied. For the sake of the 10,000-year dark steel and 10,000-year deep silver, the Tang family's father and son had lowered their stance to the extreme. With their Tang family's status in the southern region, how many people could be treated like this? Even if it was someone from another aristocratic family, they wouldn't be so enthusiastic. After Tang Guluo brought Ling Xiao and the savage leopard down, Tang Jin immediately said to Tang Tianhao in a serious tone, Patriarch, no matter what price you pay, you must obtain these 2 materials. Tang Fu also agreed from the side. That's right, those 2 materials are definitely more than 10,000 years old. They might even be older. Using them to forge spirit weapons is definitely the best choice. Who knows, they might even be able to help the old man reach the 7th stage. Hearing Tang Fu's words, Tang Tianhao's eyes flashed with a determined light. Elder Jin, follow me to find the old man. Tang Tianhao said to Tang Jin and immediately rushed out of the pavilion. Chapter 427. In an inconspicuous mountain range behind the peaks of the Tang family, there was an iron gate made of thousand-year black iron. The iron gate was engraved with mysterious spirit patterns, emitting waves of strong aura. At a glance, this iron gate was actually comparable to an ordinary 5th-grade defensive Shen artifact. An ordinary Shen artifact would not be able to break through these two huge iron gates. This was the forbidden area at the back of the Tang family's mountain, which was also the place where the Tang family's old master had closed off. When Tang Tianhao and Tang Jin arrived, waves of spiritual energy fluctuations immediately came from all directions. It was obvious that someone was hiding nearby. The old man has already been closed for 2 years. I wonder if he has succeeded in breaking through now. Tang Tianhao muttered as he looked at the iron gate. Tang Jin said, to take that step, not only does he need a large amount of resources, he also needs a strong comprehension ability. The old man has focused on refining for most of his life. Otherwise, with his 10 bin, he would have broken through that step long ago. When Tang Jin spoke, his eyes were filled with incomparable worship. Tang Jin was originally not a member of the Tang family. He was taken in as a servant by the old master Tang when he was traveling in his early years, and he had always followed the old master, achieving his current status. Later on, he was even bestowed the surname Tang by the old master, and his status in the Tang family was even higher than the other direct descendants of the Tang family's previous generation elders. He must have the most loyal heart to the Tang family, and this was also the reason why the old master of the Tang family focused on nurturing him. Tang Tianhao walked in front of the iron gate, knelt down, kowtowed, and called out, Tianhao pleads for the old master to come out of seclusion. There is something important for the old master to decide. After a long time, an old voice came from behind the iron gate. What's the matter? Someone brought 10,000-year iron and 10,000-year deep silver to ask the old master to refine a spirit weapon. I think this business can be accepted, so I came to disturb the old master, Tang Tianhao said respectfully. There was no movement behind the iron gate again. Tang Tianhao and Tang Jin were puzzled. Could it be that the old master is not interested? Just as Tang Tianhao was about to say something again, the iron gate rumbled and opened. A tall figure shrouded in flames slowly walked out of the cave. Old Master Tang was an old man who was more than 600 years old. 600 years had left countless marks on his face, but his back was still straight, and his arms were still strong and powerful. The aura he exuded made people want to worship him. He was the most famous spiritual tools grandmaster in the southern region and the true pillar of the Tang family. As long as he existed, the Tang family would prosper. 300 years ago, he had forged spirit weapons for the Devil Shadow Sect's sect master and the Beast Alliance's alliance master. At that time, his name began to spread in the southern region, and he became a new noble in the southern region. Now that 300 years had passed, the people of the southern region were still talking about him enthusiastically. Tang Jin greets master. When Tang Jin saw the elder of the Tang family, he immediately knelt down and greeted respectfully. However, before Tang Jin's knees touched the ground, he saw the elder of the Tang family waving his hand gently. He could no longer kneel down. Tang Jin, although you and I are master and servant in name, in reality we are brothers. How many times have I said that you don't need to bow when you see me? How many times do I have to say it? Old Master Tang said to Tang Jin with a hint of reproach. Tang Jin straightened his body and replied, Master's strength has increased by another level. Tang Jin is happy for you. Although he had no way of knowing how powerful Elder Tang was, he could sense that he had become much stronger than he used to be. Old Master Tang shook his head and asked Tang Tianhao, Tianhao, you said that someone brought 10,000-year black iron and 10,000-year deep silver to refine a spirit weapon? I wonder which power he belongs to? Tang Tianhao nodded and replied, the person who came is the prince consort of the Gu clan. What clan's prince consort? Old Master Tang snorted unhappily. Then, his old eyes bloomed with surprise as he asked, which Gu clan are you talking about? It's the Gu clan that disappeared. Now they have reappeared, Tang Tianhao replied. Old Master Tang's eyelids twitched slightly. Then he laughed and said, "Interesting, interesting. I didn't expect that the great clan from 10,000 years ago did not go extinct. Now that they have made a comeback, I wonder if they still have the same domineering attitude as before." "Old master, have you reached that step now?" Tang Tianhao asked carefully. In front of him, as the patriarch, he had to carefully serve him. One had to know that the old master's temper had always been very fiery. If you made him unhappy, even if you were the patriarch, you would still have to teach him a lesson. Back then, before Tang Tianhao became the patriarch, he had taken a lot of care. Tang Jin also looked at Old Master Tang's expression, as if he wanted to know the answer. Old Master Tang shook his head and smiled bitterly. "Half a step away. Half a step away." Tang Tianhao and Tang Jin were stunned for a moment, but in the end, a happy smile appeared on their faces. Half a step away meant that they had already taken half a step. Half a step, even if it was half a step, was still a huge leap. It was enough to show disdain for anyone below half a step. "You guys can leave first. In 2 days, bring the Gu clan's prince consort to see me. I want to see what the Gu clan has to make me take action," Old Master Tang said arrogantly. Although the Gu clan was a great clan from 10,000 years ago, things were different now. The current Gu clan was not as scary as they were 10,000 years ago, but the Gu clan had only sent a prince consort to forge a spirit artifact. This seemed to be very arrogant, so Old Master Tang also wanted to make things difficult for the Gu clan's prince consort. He wanted to see if the younger generation of the Gu clan had the confidence to make a grandmaster like him, who had been famous for hundreds of years, take action. How could Tang Tianhao not understand Old Master Tang's meaning? He immediately explained, "Old Master, he brought 10,000-year iron and 10,000-year deep silver." He was afraid that he didn't know that the other party had brought valuable materials, so he emphasized once again. Old Master Tang said disdainfully, "So what? It's not like I haven't seen it before." "Old Master, it's different this time," Tang Tianhao said anxiously. He wanted to explain that the amount of 10,000-year iron and 10,000-year deep silver was very large, and not just a little bit. Before he could finish, Old Master Tang waved his hand and interrupted him. "No need to say anymore. We'll talk after I see that kid." With that, Old Master Tang entered the cave in a flash, and the metal door closed with a bang. "Old Master!" Tang Tianhao called out again. Unfortunately, he didn't hear a reply. Tang Jin said from the side, "Let's go back. Since the old master has agreed to see that kid, he will definitely be overjoyed when he sees those two things." Tang Tianhao sighed and said, "Elder Jin, you don't understand. If I don't make it clear now, when the old master sees those two things, he will definitely say that I didn't make it clear. This crime will fall on my head again." "Hee, Patriarch, you don't have to worry. The old master has always been very open-minded. He won't blame you." Tang Jin chuckled. Tang Tianhao's expression was a little unnatural. He thought to himself, he has always been open-minded, but he only became open-minded after venting his anger. Oh, Ling Xiao stayed in the Tang family for 2 days. In these 2 days, Tang Guogua personally brought Ling Xiao to visit the Tang family's iron forging pavilion, the smelting field, and the inscription peak. Ling Xiao finally had a new understanding of the Tang family's refining techniques. The Tang family was different from other forging workshops. They had a very detailed division of labor, and there would be a special person in charge of every order. Finally, before the weapon was out of the furnace, there would be a special master to check the quality of the weapon. Only after passing the master's eyes could the weapon be produced. Once they found any flaws, they would have to be eliminated or reforged again. Ling Xiao couldn't help but sigh at the scale and management of an ancient family. It was really not something a small family could compare to. It was no wonder that they could maintain the title of the #1 blacksmith family for so long. At this time, Tang Guogua was on his way to the artifact forging pool on the main peak with Ling Xiao. This main peak was where the Tang family was located, and it was controlled by the patriarch of each generation. If one wasn't a direct descendant of the Tang family, very few people would be able to take even half a step near this place. Now that Tang Guogua had brought Ling Xiao to visit the artifact forging pool, it was enough to show how much importance he placed on Ling Xiao. "Brother Ling, what do you think of my Tang family's artifact forging place?" Tang Guogua asked with a hint of pride. Ling Xiao replied seriously, "This is the largest artifact forging place I've ever seen. Your Tang family's artifact forging skills are indeed worthy of their reputation." "Haha, my Tang family's artifact forging skills have been passed down for nearly 10,000 years. It can be said that no one in the southern region can compare to my Tang family. So Brother Ling, coming to our Tang family to refine spirit artifacts is definitely the best choice," Tang Guogua said proudly. In the past 2 days, the two of them had quickly become familiar with each other, and their conversation was no longer as distant as before. As the two chatted, they quickly arrived at a spacious place facing the sun halfway up the main peak. This place was guarded by a large number of experts from the Tang family, and there were also glittering runes surrounding it. They were on high alert at all times. "Greetings, young master," the leader of the guards around the artifact forging pool respectfully called out to Tang Guogua. "All right, you can leave now. I've brought our esteemed guest here to take a look." Tang Guogua waved his hand, dismissing the guard, and then brought Ling Xiao inside. As soon as they stepped into the surroundings of the artifact forging pool, waves of heat assaulted their nostrils. The high temperature of the air was abnormally uncomfortable. Tang Guogua didn't seem to feel uncomfortable at all when he arrived here. Instead, he seemed to be extremely comfortable. Ling Xiao was just about to circulate his ice chi to resist the heat, but unexpectedly, the blue demon fireball in his sea of consciousness had quietly changed. It actually took the initiative to absorb the heat that was surging towards it. This was the first time this had happened, and Ling Xiao only felt a little surprised. Could it be that the heavenly lightning fire here is also beneficial to the blue demon fireball? As they walked inside, they saw a 100-meter-wide fire pool. The flashing purple waves of fire were constantly surging within the fire pool, and that frighteningly high temperature made it difficult for ordinary people to approach. This artifact forging pool really is an eye-opener. Ling Xiao looked at the surging fire pool and couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. This was simply a miniature version of a volcano that was isolated from lava. If Ling Xiao hadn't entered the crater of a volcano and faced even more frightening waves of fire, he would have been frightened by this spectacular scene. Tang Guogua smiled and said, "This place has been accumulating lightning fire for many years, making it the best place to forge artifacts. However, ordinary profound artifacts can't withstand the lightning fire here. Only high-level materials for refining spirit artifacts can withstand the flames here. Truly a wondrous place," Ling Xiao exclaimed in admiration once again. The blue demon fireball in his sea of consciousness actually had an urge to rush out, causing Ling Xiao to have a bad feeling. Chapter 428. After the demon blue fire bead was subdued by Ling Xiao, there had been no abnormalities. But now there was a strong fluctuation which surprised Ling Xiao. He wasn't afraid that the demon blue fire bead would escape his control, but he was afraid that it would want to devour the thunder fire. If that happened, the Tang family would probably become irreconcilable enemies with him. "Brother Ling, why do you look so unsightly?" Tang Guogua noticed that Ling Xiao's expression was strange and asked. "It's nothing, I just feel a little hot," Ling Xiao replied. Tang Guogua suddenly said, "That's right, the temperature here is too high. How about we leave now?" Ling Xiao didn't hesitate and immediately nodded. "All right." Just as Ling Xiao and Tang Guogua were about to leave the artifact forging pool, a blue bead drilled out from the back of Ling Xiao's head and flew towards the artifact forging pool. "Oh no!" Ling Xiao cried out in his heart. He really didn't expect that the demon blue fire bead would actually go out of control and enter the artifact forging pool. No one noticed this scene, only Ling Xiao could sense it. Just as Ling Xiao and Tang Guogua walked out of the artifact forging pool, the sky suddenly changed color. The darkness became denser in an instant, and gusts of wind blew loudly. Thunder and lightning flashed in the sky. Tang Guogua looked up and his expression changed. He cried out, Not good. Why is there suddenly heavenly lightning descending? Then, he shouted at the guards at the back. Quick! Activate the defensive formation. Tang Guoda immediately sensed that heavenly lightning was about to descend, so he immediately cried out in alarm. They had set up a defensive array here in order to weaken the power of the heavenly thunder, so that the weakened thunderfire would land in the artifact refining pool and become inextinguishable thunderfire. This was also the reason why the Tang family had been gathering thunderfire and forming the artifact refining pool for a long time. When the Tang family heard their young master's cry, they began to set up the formation in an orderly manner. In just a short moment, light screens gathered from all directions above the artifact forging pool, forming a semicircular, 5-colored light screen barrier. Rumble! Just as the formation was activated, an earth-shattering explosion sounded, and lightning struck down in an instant. When the lightning struck the light barrier, it was indeed blocked. However, a small portion of it still penetrated the light barrier and fell into the refining pool. Brother Ling, you're in for a treat. Heavenly lightning that's rarely seen every few years has actually descended today. I really don't know if you're lucky or if it's our Tang family's fortune. Tang Guogua didn't feel any fear in the face of that deafening thunder. Ling Xiao replied, Of course this is because your Tang family's luck is like the heavens. But in his heart he muttered, It can't be caused by it, right? As the lightning continued to strike for a few days, the entire mountain began to tremble. The people of the Tang clan nearby all saw the heavenly lightning descending. The heavens are truly blessing my Tang family. Heavenly lightning has descended once more, and the crafting pool can once again gather thunderfire. Even if that's the case, our Tang clan no longer has any materials to refine spirit artifacts. What's the point of having thunderfire? I heard that 2 distinguished guests came to the clan 2 days ago. They said that they brought a large amount of materials to ask the old man to refine a spirit artifact. This is great. We have the materials, and the thunderfire has descended again. The quality of the spirit artifact should be even better. Oh, Tang Tianhao, who was on top of his main pavilion, was sent flying by the waves of heavenly lightning. Why did the thunderfire suddenly descend? Tang Tianhao muttered as he looked at the lightning in the sky. Usually, there would be signs before the heavenly lightning descended, but this time, it had come so suddenly that it made him feel a little uneasy. The other experts of the Tang family also seemed to have sensed that something was amiss this time. They all came to the front of the main peak and stared at the increasingly dense heavenly lightning. Under the light screen, Tang Guogua also frowned and muttered, Why is there more and more heavenly lightning? Tang Guogua had seen the heavenly lightning that occurred once every few years, but looking at the increasing number of heavenly lightning in the sky, he felt a little scared. Could it be that there was a change in the heavenly lightning this time? The expressions of the nearby guards all turned ugly. It was obvious that they had the same thoughts as Tang Guogua. Boom! Dozens of lightning bolts the size of buckets broke through the clouds and smashed down towards the artifact refining pool. The lightning seemed to be about to drown the main peak. Ling Zhao's expression jumped as he exclaimed, Quick! Leave this place. This defense can't hold on any longer. Only then did Tang Guogua come back to his senses and exclaim, Run! The 2 of them fled outside, while the others scattered like birds. The Tang family members on the main peak didn't dare to stay any longer. Everyone fled at full speed. The weaker members of the Tang family only hated that they were born with 2 less legs. They were afraid that they would die if they took even half a step. This time, the heavenly lightning was too terrifying. It was too different from the previous heavenly lightning. This was simply the wrath of the heavens, and it wanted to exterminate all life. However, just as Ling Xiao had escaped more than 10 meters, a bolt of lightning actually struck towards him as if it had a mind of its own. Even though Ling Xiao's speed was unparalleled, he couldn't dodge the speed of the heavenly lightning. Boom! Ling Xiao was smashed into the ground by that huge bolt of lightning. Tang Guogua was so frightened that he broke out in a cold sweat. He couldn't help but exclaim, Brother Ling! Don't worry, I won't die. Ling Xiao replied as he bounced up from the ground, his whole body charred. Tang Guogua was overjoyed. If Ling Xiao was killed here, the Tang family would be in big trouble. At the same time, he didn't expect that Ling Xiao was still alive. He was puzzled. Maybe he's wearing a high-grade armor. That lightning strike was comparable to an attack from an earthly sovereign realm cultivator. Even a king stage cultivator would be reduced to ashes, but Ling Xiao was fine. That was why he thought that Ling Xiao was wearing a high-grade armor. Let's go. There's a change in the heavenly lightning this time. Tang Guogua shouted. Ling Xiao was just about to leave when he sensed something strange above his head. He looked up and saw another huge bolt of heavenly lightning blasting towards him. F***CK. You're just trying to make life difficult for me. Ling Xiao couldn't care less about Tang Guogua. He shouted and activated his wind attribute to the fullest. Using Cloud Phantom, he fled out of the equipment refining pool. This was the fastest speed he had ever achieved. Tang Guogua was dumbfounded. Did he take the spirit-increasing pill? How can he run so fast? Then, a thunderclap rang out next to Tang Guogua. He was so scared that he shivered and hurriedly fled. At this time, the equipment refining pool had been covered by dozens of huge bolts of heavenly lightning. The main peak was almost destroyed. Ling Xiao, who had been running away from the main peak, was still being chased by the lightning, which struck his butt until it split open. If it weren't for the abnormal ancient sovereign divine technique, he would have died a long time ago. Before he knew it, Ling Xiao had escaped to the place where the Tang family's elder had sealed off. Who dares to trespass into the Tang family's forbidden area? A shocking roar rang out. Several figures flew out from different corners. An earthly sovereign looked coldly at the approaching Ling Xiao and shouted again. If you dare to take another step forward, you'll be half dead. The others were ready to attack. F***CK, if you don't want to die, get out of the way. I'm going to be struck by lightning. Ling Xiao shouted as he fled in that direction. When those people heard Ling Xiao's words, they all cursed in their hearts. Where did this psychopath come from? However, just as they were about to kill Ling Xiao, several bolts of lightning suddenly fell from the sky. This is heavenly lightning. Get out of the way. The earthly sovereign was shocked and hurriedly exclaimed to his companions. At the same time, he didn't dare to attack Ling Xiao. How could those people dare to stop him? They immediately dodged as fast as they could. Rumble. No matter how fast Ling Xiao was, he couldn't escape the pursuit of the heavenly lightning. After being struck by the heavenly lightning, his body flew toward the two iron doors like a kite with a broken string. Ling Xiao slammed into the iron doors. The iron doors collapsed, and the strong defensive power sent him flying far away. Ling Xiao couldn't withstand the powerful attack. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face was indescribably pale. Ling Xiao actually didn't die after being struck by several heavenly lightning. Apart from being in an indescribable sorry state, he could still get up. At the same time, layers of golden light appeared around his body like dragon scales, giving him a contradictory temperament that was both desolate and domineering at the same time. F***CK. What's going on? Why is this young master so unlucky to be struck by lightning in broad daylight? Is there any justice in this world? Ling Xiao looked up and cursed. His body was in excruciating pain, and his hands and feet were numb from the electric current. For a moment, his hands and feet weren't sharp enough. At the same time, the 3 parts restoration in his body quietly absorbed the power of the lightning and fire that had struck him, and the ancient emperor's divine art quickly healed his injuries. At that moment, the 2 iron doors opened, and a fiery figure appeared in front of Ling Xiao, looking down at him coldly. Ling Xiao felt like he'd been targeted by a venomous snake, and his entire body felt indescribably uncomfortable. He inwardly exclaimed, "Paraparagon level aura. Who are you, kid? How dare you disturb this old man?" The Tang family's old man stared coldly at Ling Xiao. The Tang family's old man looked at Ling Xiao with a strange expression. Is this kid an alien? His hair is smoking, and his body is black as if he just crawled out of a furnace? Ling Xiao was just about to respond when another wave of thunder rumbled. Ling Xiao's expression changed. The Tang family's old man looked at the sky not far away, and his eyes narrowed as he muttered, When did the lightning become so terrifying? At that moment, several bolts of lightning struck towards Ling Xiao. The Tang family's old man thought that the lightning was coming for him. So he raised a sea of fire in his hand and blasted it towards the lightning. Zzz. The flames from the Tang family's old man actually managed to disperse the lightning, leaving only countless thin sparks flying to the side. What's going on? Not good. Something has happened to the crafting pool. The Tang family's old man was puzzled. Then he saw that the main peak was half a foot shorter, and his expression changed. Following that, he turned into a meteor and flew towards the main peak. Ling Xiao shouted, Grandpa, don't go. Help me block it. Ling Xiao knew that the Tang family's power was boundless, and that he could actually block the lightning. Thus, he gritted his teeth and chased after the Tang family's old man. Actually, he also knew why he was struck by the lightning. It must have been the blue demon fire bead's doing. He had to summon it back. If the blue demon fire bead was discovered by the Tang family, he would be in deep trouble. Chapter 429. At the Tang family's main peak, the artifact refining pool had already been bombarded by dozens of lightning flames. This situation was simply like the wrath of the heavens and the resentment of the people. It was extremely terrifying. In the middle of the artifact refining pool, a blue pearl emitted countless heavenly flames as it fought against the heavenly lightning. One blue and one purple continuously clashed, and the scorching temperature could even evaporate the Earth Emperor. The blue flames were constantly bombarded by the heavenly fire and gradually began to compress. It was as if the blue flames were unable to stop so many lightning bolts from striking down. In the end, the demonic blue flames were dispersed, and countless lightning bolts struck the body of the bead. Most of the Tang family members had already retreated. They looked at the main peak that had been baptized by lightning from afar and wanted to cry. Who can tell me what's going on? Tang Tianhao roared like an angry lion. That was the foundation of their Tang family, and it was actually destroyed just like that. The experts of the Tang family were all silent. To be honest, they all knew about this kind of heavenly might. At this time, Tang Guoda flew over. He seemed to have been touched by the lightning and his clothes were torn in a few places. Fortunately, it was not a big deal. Luoda, are you all right? Tang Tianhao asked nervously. Tang Guoda shook his head and said, I'm fine. Then, he looked around at the people around him and asked, Has anyone seen Brother Ling? All the members of the Tang family looked at each other with blank expressions on their faces. Tang Guoda's expression became gloomy, but his heart was in a terrible state. At this moment, an extremely fast figure appeared beside Tang Guoda and asked, Where's my young master? The person who came was Savage Leopard. Ling Xiao did not let him follow him for the past 2 days. However, with such a terrifying heavenly lightning descending, Savage Leopard was worried that something would happen to Ling Xiao, so he rushed over to ask. Although he had not completely subdued Ling Xiao, he still had to do this. After all, Ling Xiao still had half of his residual soul in his sea of consciousness. This was related to his life and death, so he had no choice but to worry for Ling Xiao. That's right, Luoda. Hasn't little brother Ling been following you? Why don't I see him? Tang Tianhao asked. Then, he seemed to have thought of something, and his expression became unnatural. Could it be that he... Tang Tianhao looked at his son's pathetic state and looked in the direction of the main peak. He started to worry for Ling Xiao. If the prince consort of the Gu clan died here, how would the Tang clan answer to them? Looking at the savage leopard's sullen face, Tang Guoda could only brace himself and say, Just now, Brother Ling was struck by lightning. No, he was chased by lightning. He escaped from the artifact forging pool, but I don't know where he is now. He prayed in his heart. I hope he's all right. What's going on with this sky lightning? Why would he chase after my family's young master? Is it because you want to snatch the high-grade materials in his hands? Savage Leopard coldly glanced at Tangguetta and asked, "How is that possible? Even if we want to snatch Brother Ling's materials, we don't have to sacrifice our Tang clan's foundation." Tangguetta replied. Tang Tianhao also hurriedly replied, "That's right, my lord. This is the location of our Tang family's artifact refining pool. Every few years, there will be heavenly lightning descending, and this is something that everyone in the southern region knows about. It's just that the heavenly lightning this time is different, and its power is 10 times more terrifying than before. Even my family's defensive formation can't withstand it, but it's not that we want to deal with your young master." Savage Leopard looked towards the heavenly lightning and also felt that it wasn't man-made. So he believed the Tang father and son's words. At the same time, he also sensed that Ling Xiao should be fine. At this time, a king stage cultivator stood up and said, "Just now, I saw the young master who was chased by the heavenly lightning flying towards the forbidden area at the back of the mountain. Look, there's also heavenly lightning descending in the forbidden area at the back of the mountain." Another Tang clan member pointed at the back of the mountain and exclaimed. For a moment, everyone looked towards the forbidden area at the back of the mountain. Listening to the rumbling of thunder, their scalps went numb. This was the first time they had seen heavenly lightning descending from the back of the mountain. They couldn't help but wonder, could it be that the young master's character is too bad that he was sent by the heavens? "Let's go and take a look," Tang Tianhao exclaimed and prepared to fly towards the back of the mountain. At this moment, a fiery figure rapidly flew over from the direction of the forbidden area at the back of the mountain. Before they could clearly see who it was, they only felt their vision blur, and the figure had already arrived in front of them. "Greetings, old master, ancestor." When the Tang clan saw who it was, they all bowed and greeted him. Grandfather Tang gently nodded his head. His gaze was fixed upon the lightning pool with an incomparably serious expression on his face. "Old master, look, the artifact forging pool has been destroyed," Tang Tianhao cautiously said to the old master. Old Master Tang ignored him, but in his heart, could it be that after years of accumulation, some kind of treasure has been formed? After hesitating for a moment, Old Master Tang flew in that direction. "Old Master, don't go over," Tang Gu cried out nervously. "Young Master, don't worry. Old Master knows what to do," Tang Jin comforted from the side. At this moment, another figure flew over from the forbidden area at the back of the mountain. "Brother Ling," Tang Gu couldn't help but exclaim when he saw that Ling Xiao was still alive. At the same time, he also wanted to fly towards Ling Xiao. "Don't come over. Get out of the way," Ling Xiao cried out and chased in the direction of Old Master Tang. At the same time, several bolts of lightning chased after him, scaring everyone into fleeing. When they saw that Ling Xiao had been struck by those bolts of lightning, everyone cried out in alarm. At the same time, they all thought that Ling Xiao was dead for sure. But in the next moment, they were all dumbfounded. Ling Xiao actually staggered up from the ground, his entire body glowing with the golden dragon scale protection force. "Damn it! This young master can't be struck to death," Ling Xiao shouted towards the sky, then propped himself up and flew towards the artifact forging pool. "What did I see just now?" Tang Tianhao asked in a daze. "It seems like little brother Ling was really struck by lightning," Tang Jin replied cooperatively. "He didn't die even after being struck by lightning. How valiant!" Tang Gu was tongue-tied. The members of the Tang family were all incomparably shocked. They didn't understand how Ling Xiao was still alive after being struck by lightning. If it were them, they would probably be left with a cloud of smoke. On the other side, Savage Leopard's expression kept changing. No one knew what he was thinking. At the main peak, the area around Old Master Tang was surrounded by flames. He walked step by step in the direction of the artifact forging pool. The deeper he went, the more stifled and uncomfortable he felt. He felt that the lightning was a strong threat to him. It wasn't as simple as the previous bolts of lightning. Furthermore, he also felt an indescribable burning pain. He was a cultivator of the fire attribute, so normal flames shouldn't be able to hurt him. However, before he even touched the flames, he already felt a burning pain. He didn't dare to go any closer. A few drops of sweat dripped down his old face as he looked at the thunderbolt pool in front of him. No one knew what he was thinking. At this moment, Ling Xiao finally arrived in front of the thunderbolt pool. Old Master Tang glanced at Ling Xiao and said indifferently, "Who exactly are you?" Ling Xiao said with thick smoke coming out of his mouth, "I'm your Tang family's VIP. What are you doing? You actually used lightning to strike this young master. Are you trying to murder me for my money?" Although Ling Xiao didn't know who the old man in front of him was, he could guess that this old man's status wasn't low. It was very likely that he was the Tang family's legendary Old Master. Old Master Tang was stunned for a moment before saying, "You're the Gu clan's prince consort? It's good that you know. Help me block a few bolts of lightning first." Just as Ling Xiao was speaking, another bolt of lightning came crashing down. However, this time, the number of lightning bolts was several times more than the previous ones. Old Master Tang's expression changed. With so many lightning bolts, even if he was half a step into the honorable realm, he would still have to retreat. However, he did not retreat. Instead, he took out a fire-colored broadsword and a square-shaped shield. The moment these two weapons appeared, the silhouettes of two powerful beasts soared into the sky. Waves of spiritual energy emanated from them. With one look, one could tell that these were no ordinary weapons. Anything that Old Master Tang could take out was definitely a spiritual weapon of the 6th rank and above. With a broadsword in one hand and a shield in the other, he faced the lightning bolts head-on. Ling Xiao took the opportunity to swallow a few healing pills. Then, two more spiritual weapons appeared in his hands: the green dragon moonslaying sword and the heavenly dragon shield. Old Master Tang had spent his entire life in smithing, so he was very sensitive to spiritual weapons. He immediately noticed the two extraordinary weapons in Ling Xiao's hands. High-grade spiritual weapons. He couldn't help but exclaim. However, he wanted to go over and see what was going on. Unfortunately, the power of the lightning was extraordinary and it forced him to retreat. Fortunately, the lightning only pushed him back and didn't pursue him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to withstand it. Just as he came back to his senses, he saw Ling Xiao dive headfirst into the pool of lightning. "Kid, don't go in. Even if you have a spiritual weapon, you'll still die." Old Master Tang couldn't help but exclaim. Unfortunately, the lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. How could Ling Xiao hear it? Even if he could hear it, he still had to go in. At this moment, the lightning in the sky became even more concentrated and ferocious. Old Master Tang wanted to rely on his spiritual weapon to enter the lightning pool to save Tang Wulin. Unfortunately, the terrifying lightning bolts and incomparably hot flames made it impossible for him to get close. "Something's wrong," Old Master Tang muttered to himself. Then, he retreated far away and returned to Tang Tianhao's side. Immediately passed down the order. "Tell everyone not to worry. Once the lightning passes, everything will be fine," Old Master Tang said faintly. Tang Tianhao immediately replied, "Yes, Old Master." "Old Master, did you see someone go in with you just now?" Tang Luigua asked. Old Master Tang looked at Tang Luigua and replied, "You mean that kid from the Gu race?" Tang Luigua nodded and said, "That's him. Why didn't he come out with you?" "That kid went into the lightning pool," Old Master Tang replied indifferently. "What? He went into the lightning pool?" Tang Luigua said in shock. The Tang family members were also moved. "The lightning energy there is too terrifying. Even if I go near it, I'll only die. I'm afraid that kid. Everything points to disaster," Old Master Tang continued. For a moment, Tang Tianhao and Tang Luiguo's expressions became extremely ugly. Only Savage Leopard, who was at the side, did not show any signs of worry. Only he knew that Ling Xiao had entered the lightning pool. Nothing should have happened to him, otherwise he would also be implicated. Chapter 430. The main peak of the Tang clan was filled with thunder and lightning. Bolts of heavenly lightning kept striking at the same place, as if there was something there that had angered them. In the middle of the lightning pool, a figure stumbled as he walked towards the inside. The heavenly dragon shield in his hand formed a thick and solid green light, isolating the lightning and flames. In addition, he used the long saber in his hand to slash a path, as though he was looking for something. Wasn't this person Ling Xiao who went into the lightning pool? Damned pearl! Come back! Where did it go? Ling Xiao wanted to find the blue demon fire pearl even though he would be struck by lightning. It was one of his life-saving trump cards, and he couldn't lose it. Moreover, he still needed it to refine elixirs. Ling Xiao really couldn't understand. What on earth was attracting the blue demon fire pearl to fly out of his control? It even attracted the punishment of the heavenly thunder. Even he was implicated. He felt even more wronged than Do Yi. The power of the lightning was not random. Even Ling Xiao felt rather strained with the heavenly dragon shield. There were a few times when he almost lost his grip. After holding on for a while, Ling Xiao finally saw the blue demon fire pearl that was struck by the lightning. However, he saw that the blue demon fire pearl situation was not good. It was about to be smashed by the lightning. At this moment, Ling Xiao didn't dare to go any closer because the power of the lightning was even more terrifying. Even the pearl couldn't withstand it, so the spirit weapon in his hand wouldn't be able to withstand it. Damned pearl, come back! Ling Xiao used his spiritual power to send a strong will to pull the blue demon fire pearl back into his sea of consciousness. The blue demon fire pearl seemed to have sensed Ling Xiao's summon and gave a strong response. It flew towards Ling Xiao and entered between his eyebrows. Ling Xiao was overjoyed, but the next moment, he was dumbfounded. The most powerful lightning was chasing after him. The lightning arrived in an instant, and the heavenly dragon shield in his hand was almost shaken off. Obsidian cauldron, transform! Ling Xiao's entire body was trembling, and blood was flowing out of his 7 orifices. The power of the thunder and lightning was too much for him. The heavenly dragon shield seemed to be on the verge of breaking. In desperation, he could only take out the heavenly cauldron to defend himself. The obsidian cauldron instantly expanded to the size of a house, shielding Ling Xiao from the lightning strikes. Ling Xiao heaved a sigh of relief and thought to himself, if I had known, I would have called Tian Ding out earlier. Suddenly, in Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness, there was an intense pain, causing him to scream miserably. Ling Xiao covered his head and rolled on the ground. Hot air was coming out of his 7 orifices, as if his head was going to be burned. What's going on? Ling Xiao endured the pain and dove into his sea of consciousness to see what was going on. He saw that there was a blue sea of flames in his sea of consciousness, and the small tree had retreated far away. The other bead was faintly emitting a gray baleful aura to block it, but it had also been forced into a corner. The remnant soul of the savage leopard was scurrying in all directions in a terrible situation. Old Lu, what's going on? Ling Xiao asked the small tree. A green figure flashed out, and a powerful green barrier of light isolated the sea of flames. Lu Wang frowned and stroked his beard. It's advancing. What, it can also advance? Ling Xiao was shocked to hear this. What's so surprising about that? Everything can grow. It's a foreign object condensed from heaven and earth, so of course it can advance. Lu Wang replied. Then what should I do? If this continues, it'll destroy my place. Ling Xiao replied at a loss. It's absorbing too much energy, so it can't digest it in a short amount of time. So you need to help it share some of the energy. That way you might be able to resolve it, Lu Wang said. I'll help it resolve it? Ling Xiao was stunned, but he didn't know how to help it. That's right. Guide its energy for your own use, Lu Wang replied. Ling Xiao thought for a moment, and felt that the blue sea of flames was surging even more fiercely. I'll try, Ling Xiao said, and then immediately used his heart to sense the blue demon fire bead, making his request. He had already branded the blue demon fire bead with his imprint, so it could naturally sense his intentions. The blue demon fire bead agreed without hesitation. Ling Xiao used his mental strength to guide the extra fire attribute energy out of his sea of consciousness. The extra fire attribute energy seemed to have found an outlet, and immediately rushed out in the direction that Ling Xiao had come from. Ling Xiao felt his body instantly surge. He knew that this was the extra energy from the blue demon fire bead. Without waiting for his instructions, the 3 parts restoration chi also began to circulate at high speed. The energy turned into a whirlpool, and in an instant, it passed through Ling Xiao's meridians and squeezed into Ling Xiao's dantian. Boom! Ling Xiao's dantian was attacked by a large amount of energy, and it almost shook. Fortunately, Ling Xiao's dantian had already condensed 3 layers of defense around it, so the energy was not able to destroy it. The energy was quickly absorbed by the stabilized dantian. With the addition of such a large amount of energy, the dantian instantly expanded. The 3 layers of defense around it instantly overlapped, gradually forming a 5-colored screen of light. He had thought that this was already very strange, but the most surprising thing was yet to come. He saw that the dantian actually began to crack and evolve from its solid state. A person's dantian was the foundation of a martial artist. Once it was destroyed, it meant that the martial artist's path of martial arts would be reduced to nothingness. Could it be that Ling Xiao's dantian was broken by the powerful energy and destroyed? This was clearly impossible. Although Ling Xiao had never seen this situation before, he knew that this should be a sign that he had broken through a barrier that had been stuck for a long time. That's right, this was actually the sign of the 3 parts restoration chi breaking through the 5th level of spirit transformation. He saw that after the dantian was broken, the energy turned into a whirlpool, constantly absorbing the energy that was still rushing in. The whirlpool of dantian spun faster and faster, and the change was also getting bigger and bigger. Ling Xiao's 5 elemental powers, metal, fire, ice, wood, and wind, were softened and transformed into a colorful whirlpool in his dantian. As the energy continued to rush in, the whirlpool of dantian grew larger and larger. It looked like a boundless starry sky, beautiful and mysterious. In Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness, Lu Wang also seemed to sense the changes in Ling Xiao's dantian, and he couldn't help but exclaim in surprise, "This kid has actually evolved source energy. It's really incredible." Ling Xiao was at a loss about all of this. He only knew that his limbs were in shock. His organs were being washed by the most violent energy, and his dantian was being attacked like never before. At first, it was extremely uncomfortable, but in the end, it was like being washed in cold water in the summer, or the wonderful feeling of being bathed in a hot spring in the winter. After an unknown amount of time, the heavenly lightning in the sky knew that it could not break through the heaven cauldron's defense, so it could only return to the clouds, and calm returned. The Tang family members not far away all let out a sigh of relief. The continuous thunder and lightning these past few days had made them panic, and they almost wanted to abandon the camp and escape. Fortunately, the heavenly lightning was only targeting the main peak, and the other places were fine, so they stayed. 3 days, a full 3 days. What exactly made the heavenly lightning so angry? Tang Tianhao said with a pained expression. Looking at the main peak that had been flattened, leaving only smoke and the sea of fire that was still surging, making it difficult for people to get close, he felt extremely uncomfortable. "I wonder if Brother Ling will." Tang Luigua looked at the lightning pool with a complicated expression and sighed. Tang Tianhao frowned and said, "The old man said that he saw little Brother Ling go in with his own eyes that day. Even if he did something, it has nothing to do with our Tang family." Although that's what he said, the people of the Gu clan might not believe it, Tang Luigua replied. "Sai, the sky really is unpredictable. Little Brother Ling has just come to our Tang family, and such a thing has already happened. The foundation of our Tang family has been destroyed. It's really a pity for the 10,000-year iron and 10,000-year deep silver." Tang Tianhao sighed heavily. "Father, maybe the situation is not as bad as we think," Tang Luigua comforted. Just as Tang Tianhao was about to say something, Tang Jin walked over and said, "Patriarch, the old man has gone over again. Tang Tianhao replied, "We can't control the old man's actions. I hope that he can find some clues." "All right, where is the lord of the Gu clan?" "He has been resting and hasn't made any movements," Tang Jin replied. "Isn't he worried at all?" Tang Tianhao asked doubtfully. "Elder Jin, could he have used some secret method to inform the Gu clan?" Tang Luigua guessed. As soon as he said this, the expressions of the three of them became complicated. If that was really the case, their Tang family would be in trouble. "Forget it. We can't avoid it no matter if it's a blessing or a curse. Let's wait for the old man to come out," Tang Tianhao sighed. In the sky above the lightning pool, a fiery figure floated high in the air, balls of fire emitting a dazzling light. Old man Tang stared at the place where the lightning and fire intersected, his expression incomparably solemn. Could it be that the heavenly lightning bead has really been condensed? Old man Tang muttered. Immediately after, a fiery spirit blade and a large square shield appeared in his hands. His entire body turned into a shooting star as he plunged towards the lightning pool. ZZ. Just as a living being approached, the lightning and fire immediately shot towards it. However, the power of the lightning and fire was much weaker than the power of the heavenly lightning, so it was unable to touch Old Man Tang at all. With a single slash, he broke through the lightning and fire, intending to dive deeper. Who knew that at this moment, there would be a powerful rebound that shook his saber attack back to him. Fortunately, Old Man Tang's reaction was fast enough, or else he would have suffered a backlash from his own slash. There really is a foreign object down there. Old Man Tang was overjoyed. He had observed the heavenly lightning for the past few days, and its power was more than 10 times stronger than before, so he had guessed that there must be a foreign object being born here. Now that there was a reaction, how could he not be happy? It's no use. Ancestors' many years of setting up the array here has finally yielded results. Old Man Tang's eyes shone as he muttered. A few more spiritual objects appeared in his spatial ring. Chapter 431. Grandfather Tang had devoted his entire life to smithing, so he naturally had no lack of spiritual weapons. He actually took out a complete set of armor. Helmet, arm guards, leg guards. All the main defensive parts were in perfect condition. After putting on this set of armor, Grandfather Tang looked majestic, as if he had become 100 years younger. Holding onto his broadsword and shield, he plunged into the lightning pool below. It had to be said that Grandfather Tang was extremely courageous. If it was anyone else, even with a full set of armor, they would not dare to enter the frightening lightning pool. The defensive armor of a spiritual weapon was indeed extraordinary. As Grandfather Tang slowly descended into the lightning pool, the lightning fire was gradually isolated. As Grandfather Tang gradually ventured deeper, he felt as though he was being isolated by something. He could faintly make out a black silhouette beneath the lightning fire. It looked like a huge cauldron, a cauldron as big as a house. "What is this thing?" Grandfather Tang muttered with a frown. This strange object was clearly different from what he had imagined. Immediately after, Grandfather Tang circulated his power. His broadsword emitted thick flames as it slashed towards the faintly visible cauldron. Rumble! A loud explosion rang out and a strong rebounding force forced Grandfather Tang to retreat. What kind of godly object is this? Could it be the doing of that Gu clan brat? Grandfather Tang's expression turned ugly. This crafting pool was formed by the thunder absorption array laid down by the Tang clan's ancestors. Its purpose was to provide the Tang clan with lightning fire to forge spiritual weapons. At the same time, they also hoped that after generations of accumulation, they could condense the legendary Divine Thunder Bead. The Divine Thunder Bead was one of the tens of godly grade beads in the world. It was on the same level as the innate Yin Wind Bead and the Blue Demon Fire Bead. Strange pearls all existed in exceptional places, and after tens of thousands of years, it was possible for them to form. Grandfather Tang felt that the strange phenomenon in the past few days was a sign of the formation of the Divine Thunder Bead. So he was extremely excited and expectant. But now the situation seemed to be different. He could not help but suspect that this was the doing of Ling Xiao, but he also felt that it was not possible. These few days, the lightning had been so terrifying that even with his armor, he did not dare to approach. Ling Xiao was only a low-level king. If he were to land here, he would definitely die. Thinking of this, he denied the idea that Ling Xiao could survive. Once again, he unleashed a powerful killing technique, and the flames on his saber continued to surge. Although old Master Tang had yet to reach the honorable rank, after 2 years of enlightenment, he had gained a deeper understanding of the mysteries of the miniature world. This slash of his had already gathered his strongest attack, forming a small sea of flames. Just as Grandfather Tang was about to make his move, a powerful aura rose from the lightning pool. For a moment, lightning and fire surged in all directions. Grandfather Tang cautiously retreated. Who's breaking through? Could it really be that brat? Grandfather Tang's expression changed to one of shock. He could actually sense someone breaking through in the lightning pool. This was simply unbelievable. Grandfather Tang did not unleash any powerful attacks. Instead, he coldly observed the movements above the lightning pool. Not long after, a golden figure emerged from the lightning pool. Grandfather Tang looked over and his expression changed. It's really that brat. The person who emerged was none other than Ling Xiao, who had absorbed the energy from the blue demon fire bead. The vortex dantian in his body had already turned into a 5-colored state, and his aura was rising steadily. In an instant, he had reached the peak of the low-level king stage. In the next moment, he broke through and reached the mid-level king stage. This brat is using the smithing pool to cultivate? Grandfather Tang was tongue-tied. The smithing pool was a place that could even refine an earthly emperor. Furthermore, it had been bombarded by lightning for 3 consecutive days. Even a high-level heavenly venerable would have to retreat. Yet, Ling Xiao did not die in the smithing pool and even managed to break through. This made Grandfather Tang unable to wrap his head around it. However, Ling Xiao's aura continued to soar. In just a moment, he had reached the mid-level king stage, and before long, he had reached the peak of the mid-level king stage. Just as Ling Xiao's aura was about to break through to the high-level king stage, it was forcefully suppressed by Ling Xiao. His aura wasn't just any ordinary kind of power. Even under Ling Xiao's suppression, it continued to rise. "Stop right there," Ling Xiao shouted. His hands formed a series of hand seals, suppressing the energy that was surging into his dantian. After a while, Ling Xiao's aura finally stopped. His strength had also reached the peak of the mid-level king stage, and he could break through to the high-level king stage at any time. Not far away, Grandfather Tang looked at Ling Xiao with admiration. He thought to himself, this kid's temperament isn't bad. He was actually able to resist the urge to break through. His future is limitless. Ling Xiao's dispirited appearance from 3 days ago was swept away. His entire body shone with a golden light, and the ancient emperor's divine technique flowed with the golden dragon's image. The dragon-scale dark shield covered his body, giving him an indescribable sense of nobility. Ah! Ling Xiao let out a cry of surprise. He waved his hand at the lightning fire in the lightning pool. A ball of lightning fire surged towards him, and he tossed it into the sky. Rumble! The fireball exploded in midair, and all the clouds in the sky were blasted into nothingness. The earth-shattering explosion shocked the Tang family members not far away. They were like birds startled by the mere twang of a bowstring. They thought that lightning had descended once again. Ha! This feels pretty good. Ling Xiao clenched his fists and laughed proudly. He didn't know how much lightning fire the demon blue fireball had absorbed, but it couldn't even digest it all. Not only had it allowed him to break through to the 5th level of the 3 parts returning technique, it had also allowed him to break through to the mid-level king stage. His current strength couldn't be compared to before. Right now, he was rejoicing. This young master's character is really good. I was able to break through even after being struck by lightning a few times. Just as Ling Xiao was feeling proud of himself, old Master Tang said in dissatisfaction, "Brat, if you don't come down now, I'll explode your balls." The smile on Ling Xiao's face froze. He had been too proud of himself to notice that there was someone beside him. Who dares to explode this young master's balls? Ling Xiao shouted down. However, before he could finish his sentence, he saw Old Master Tang below him. Although Old Master Tang was fully armored, Tang Wulin recognized him immediately. So it's an old grandpa. It's such a hot day. Don't you feel hot wearing so many clothes? Ling Xiao's expression changed faster than flipping the page of a book. He immediately revealed a harmless smile. Then he slowly descended from the sky. Although he had the ability to go against Old Master Tang, he still needed him to refine a spiritual weapon for him. Naturally, he couldn't afford to offend him here. Not to mention, his strength had greatly increased and he was in a good mood. Why would he casually make a move? Old Master Tang was stunned by Ling Xiao's change. He thought that Ling Xiao would immediately make a move after hearing his shout. It turned out that this brat knew when to advance and when to retreat. What did you obtain in the crafting pool? Old Master Tang asked quietly. Ling Xiao was stunned for a moment before he replied, Old Grandpa, what did you say? Besides being struck by lightning, what else did I obtain? Could it be that there was something strange in the crafting pool? Indeed, Ling Xiao did not obtain anything. Even if there was something, it would have been the demon blue fire bead. It had nothing to do with him. Don't try to deny it. If you didn't obtain anything, how could you break through here? Furthermore, you were able to withstand the heavenly lightning. Do you really think this old man is a 3-year-old child? Of course, Old Master Tang did not believe him. He felt that the strange phenomenon that had occurred over the past few days must have been caused by something strange occurring in the crafting pool. Otherwise, how could it have been so abnormal? And now, not only did Ling Xiao not die, he had even broken through in front of his eyes. Other than absorbing something strange, he could not think of any other reason. Old Grandpa, you can't accuse me wrongly. I am an honored guest that you invited. It was Brother De Guang who brought me to visit the crafting pool, causing me to be struck by lightning for no reason. I haven't even settled this debt, yet you're still blaming me for taking something from your crafting pool? This is too much, Ling Xiao said anxiously. He looked like he was about to cry, as if he had suffered a great injustice. Old Master Tang was puzzled. Could it be that we've wrongly accused him? Then let me ask you how you were able to withstand the heavenly lightning for so many days. Don't tell me it's because you have a good character. Old Master Tang asked again. When Ling Xiao had entered the lightning pool, Old Master Tang had personally seen Ling Xiao take out a high-grade spirit weapon. Just now, he had also seen the shadow of the cauldron. He felt that this kid from Gu City was very mysterious and could not help but be more vigilant. Ling Xiao knew that if he did not reveal 1 or 2 powerful trump cards, he would definitely not be able to fool this old man. Just as Ling Xiao was about to open his mouth, several figures flew over from not far away. The people who had come were Tang Tianhao, Tang Deguang, Tang Jin, Tang Fu, and a few other members of the Tang family. Savage Leopard was also among them. Savage Leopard first looked at Ling Xiao in surprise, then went in front of Ling Xiao and bowed, asking, Young master, are you all right? Don't worry, I won't die yet, Ling Xiao replied. Brother Ling, you really scared me to death. I thought you? It's good that you're all right, Tang Deguang said happily when he saw that Ling Xiao was still alive. At the same time, the boulder that had been pressing down on his heart also relaxed. He was really afraid that the Gu clan would come looking for him. He did not know how his family would explain this to them. Tang Tianhao, who was at the side, also let out a sigh of relief. However, seeing that Ling Xiao had actually advanced and was even at the peak of the mid-stage king stage, this made him extremely surprised. Tang Jin and Tang Fu, who were at the side, also saw the depth of Ling Xiao's strength, and their hearts were indescribably shocked. Could it be that being struck by lightning can still advance? They all thought in their hearts in doubt. At this time, the members of the Tang family saw Old Master Tang again, and they all came forward to greet him. Only then did Ling Xiao confirm that this old man in front of him was the ancestor of the Tang family. Fortunately, I did not offend this old man, otherwise my plan would have been ruined, Ling Xiao said in his heart. He had obtained some benefits, but he had not forgotten the purpose of this trip. Old Master Tang withdrew the set of spirit armor, stared at Ling Xiao, and asked, "Brat, you still haven't answered my question just now. How did you withstand the heavenly lightning and not die? If you don't give me a reason, don't even think about leaving this place." "Humph, if my young master wants to leave, who dares to stop him?" Savage Leopard shouted in front of Ling Xiao. He was now a high-level Earth Emperor, and this body was compatible with his attributes. With his ability, even if he were to fight a half-step Empyrean, so what? Chapter 432. Savage Leopard was once a peak-level demon emperor. Although he had lost his terrifying cultivation, he still had some battle experience. Of course, he could still use those high-level profound skills. With his strength as a high-level Earth Emperor, it was not difficult for him to fight someone of a higher level. The grandfather Tang in front of him was only half a step into the honored realm, not a true honored realm. Naturally, he was not afraid. However, he had forgotten that grandfather Tang carried more than 10 spiritual weapons with him. In a battle, he was not any weaker than a low-level honored realm expert. Haha, good, good. It's been a long time since someone has spoken to this old man like this. You are the first in 100 years. Today I will make an example out of you. Otherwise, people will think that I am old and useless. Grandfather Tang laughed. He had always had an explosive temper. In the Tang family, no one dared to provoke him. Now, an outsider with a lower level of strength dared to act in front of the younger generation of the Tang family. Before anyone from the Tang family could stop him, Grandfather Tang did not use any weapons. Instead, he sent a giant palm towards the savage leopard's chest. His palm was as fast as lightning, making it impossible for anyone to defend against it. Careful! Ling Xiao was powerless to stop him, so he could only warn Savage Leopard. However, Savage Leopard revealed an excited expression. His feet moved in a strange manner, cleverly dodging Grandfather Tang's flaming palm. At the same time, he turned his hand into a claw. 5 black feeler-like horns pierced towards Grandfather Tang's back. This move was endless and his reaction speed was extremely fast. Before Grandfather Tang could even turn his back, the Tang family members were shocked. But, just as the black tentacles were about to touch Elder Tang's back, they were engulfed in flames, completely incinerating the 5 tentacles. "Humph, you want to deal with me with this? You are still far from it." Grandfather Tang coldly snorted without turning his head. His body disappeared, and in the next moment, he was already on top of Savage Leopard's head. Another flaming palm slammed towards Savage Leopard's head. Savage Leopard was still fearless, and actually met the attack head-on. Rumble! A powerful spiritual energy field shook, and the two immediately separated. Grandfather Tang was still standing in his original position, while Savage Leopard had retreated a dozen steps. The difference in strength was obvious. The people of the Tang family were very happy, but Ling Xiao was not worried. He knew that the Savage Leopard was a dignified demon emperor. If he could not even deal with a half-venerable, then he would have lived in vain. Grandfather Tang looked at the Savage Leopard that he had forced back, his heart filled with shock. "If that's the case, it will be troublesome for us to offend the Gu clan." Tang Tianhao frowned. Tang Jin, who was at the side, said indifferently, "Grandfather will definitely win." Not far away, Ling Xiao looked at the brave Savage Leopard and muttered, "I didn't expect this guy to recover so much. It looks like I have to pay more attention to him, lest he backfires." Grandfather Tang and the Savage Leopard had been fighting for a long time, and his mood became even more restless. His entire life he had focused on refining tools. Although he was already a half-step honored realm expert, his battle strength was still a bit lacking. Moreover, his fame was mainly due to his spirit tools. Compared to the Savage Leopard's battle strength, it was incomparable. He had originally wanted to defeat the Savage Leopard with just his palms, but it seemed that the opponent in front of him was much more difficult to deal with than he had imagined. In a situation where hundreds of moves were useless against the savage leopard, Grandfather Tang could only take out a fire-colored spirit blade from his spatial ring and directly force the savage leopard back dozens of meters. "Watch me slaughter you, brat." Grandfather Tang was already furious. He raised the fire-colored spirit blade and rushed to the front of the savage leopard, wanting to cut it in half. The members of the Tang family cried out in alarm, "Grandfather, please have mercy." Unfortunately, Grandfather Tang's killing intent had already been aroused, so how could he listen to their advice? The savage leopard was also amazing. Although it had been injured by Grandfather Tang, it still raised its blade to resist. However, its strength was much weaker than Grandfather Tang's. Moreover, Grandfather Tang held a spirit tool in his hand, increasing its power by several times. The savage leopard was once again sent flying far away, causing it to spit out a mouthful of blood. Grandfather Tang chased after it once again, and the savage leopard was no longer able to resist. Just as the savage leopard was about to die at Grandfather Tang's hands, a shocking dragon's roar rang out. Roar! The people in midair were shaken by the roar, and the Tang family's king stage experts were shaken to the point where they spat out blood and fell down. Tang Jin and Tang Fu were shocked, and they quickly took action to help Tang Tianhao and the others stabilize themselves. What is that? Grandfather Tang felt a strong sense of threat and immediately stopped chasing after the savage leopard. When he turned his head to look, his pupils constricted and his expression changed. Everyone in the Tang family also became incomparably shocked, and the martial artists below the Tang family's peaks all began to panic. Flood dragon. What a strong flood dragon. Why did such a strong flood dragon appear in our Tang family? Could it have something to do with the heavenly lightning 3 days ago? It shouldn't be. Look, there's someone sitting on it. Could it be that someone invaded our Tang family? This is actually Brother Ling's mount. This is too strong. Tang Guigu said as he looked enviously at Ling Xiao, who was sitting on the flood dragon, after eating a healing pill. Tang Tianhao, on the other hand, was more worried. This time, Grandfather Tang is in big trouble. The expressions of the members of the Tang family turned ugly as well. Based on the dragon's roar just now, they could tell that the flood dragon in front of them was at least a rank 6 spirit beast. A rank 6 spirit beast was comparable to a celestial venerable, and the strength displayed by the savage leopard was comparable to a half-step venerable. Their Tang family only had Grandfather Tang as a half-step venerable, so how could they contend against it? The person in question, Grandfather Tang, was even more agitated. It was a rank 6 spirit beast and a high-ranked one at that. Taming it was easier said than done. Even a true celestial venerable would not dare to easily tame it, as it was easy to lose one's life. But the young man in front of them was actually sitting on the flood dragon, which meant that this flood dragon was undoubtedly the young man's mount. He did not believe that this young man could tame this high-ranked flood dragon, but it must have been done for him by an elder. What level of existence would that elder be? He would at least be at the venerable level or above. Thinking of this, Grandfather Tang shivered, and his back broke out in a cold sweat. Although he had a fiery temper, he was not stupid. He knew that he had provoked a great enemy for the family this time, and his heart became anxious. Savage leopard, come back. We should respect the old and cherish the young. Don't attack the old just because you don't want to. Really, Ling Xiao said lightly. If this was any other time, Ling Xiao would definitely protect him, but he was actually in the wrong. The blue demon fire bead had attracted heavenly lightning and destroyed the main peak. Furthermore, he and the blue demon fire bead had both received benefits, and they were temporarily in need of help from the Tang family, so he could only put down his arrogance and speak calmly. Otherwise, even if Grandfather Tang was at the venerable level, he would still kill him. That Danshan Dao was the best example. Little brother Ling is right. Grandfather, let's forget about this matter. These two are our Tang family's distinguished guests, and we were the ones who nearly harmed them. Let's just forget about this matter. Tang Tianhao stood up to mediate, What a joke. Even if Grandfather Tang was a celestial venerable now, he still wouldn't dare offend Ling Xiao. A Gu race's emperor's son-in-law was already so frightening. Wouldn't the higher-ups of the Gu race be even more frightening? That's right, grandfather. Let's forget about it. Tang Luoga spoke up to persuade him. The other members of the Tang family also spoke up to persuade him. Ling Xiao cupped his hands towards Grandfather Tang and said, "Grandfather Tang, you are a person of virtue and prestige, so there's no need to lower yourself to the level of us juniors. If Ling Xiao has offended you in any way, please forgive us." Ling Xiao was giving Grandfather Tang a way out of this embarrassing situation. If he still didn't know what was good for him, then don't blame him for turning against him. Fine, since you've all said that, then we won't fight. Otherwise, people will say that I'm bullying the young. Grandfather Tang's face had been protected, and he immediately agreed straightforwardly. In his heart, however, he was secretly sighing at his luck. Chapter 433. In a private room of the Tang family, the higher-ups of the Tang family, Ling Xiao and Savage Leopard were all seated. Grandfather Tang was the person with the highest seniority in the Tang family, so he naturally sat at the head of the table. To his left was Tang Tianhao, followed by Tang Jin, Tang Fu, Tang Gueda, and the others. To his right was Ling Xiao, and behind him was Savage Leopard. Grandfather Tang looked at Ling Xiao and asked, "I heard from Tianhao that you came to find this old man to refine a spiritual weapon. Is that true?" Before entering the lightning pool, Grandfather Tang had personally seen Ling Xiao take out 2 high-grade spiritual weapons. Before leaving the lightning pool, he had also sensed that the indistinct cauldron was definitely not an ordinary item. He did not believe that Ling Xiao was really here to refine a spiritual weapon. "Grandfather Tang, this junior is indeed here to ask you to help refine a spiritual weapon for this junior," Ling Xiao replied, and a weapon that looked like a sword and yet wasn't a sword and yet wasn't a knife appeared in his hands. The ice and fire sword was given to Ling Xiao by an elder in the Sex Artifact Pavilion. This sword had long lost its core beast core, but it was still able to unleash elemental attacks like a profound weapon. It was truly a rare weapon, so Ling Xiao had always thought that this ice and fire sword was originally a spiritual weapon. It just so happened that this ice and fire sword was compatible with his elemental attributes, allowing him to unleash his strongest ice and fire elemental attacks. This was why he had requested to refine the ice and fire sword. Now that he had an ice and fire dual elemental beast core, 10,000-year black iron and 10,000-year deep silver, it could be said that he had everything he needed. Grandfather Tang stared at the sword in Ling Xiao's hands. This was the first time he had seen such a unique weapon being forged. It was not just him. Even the Tang family members at the side looked at the weapon with interest, their expressions filled with doubt. "Luoda, bring that weapon over for me to take a look," Grandfather Tang said to Tang Lingang. Tang Guoguei reached in front of Ling Xiao and received the ice and fire sword, then presented it to Old Master Tang. Grandfather Tang examined the ice and fire sword for a moment. His rough old hand slowly stroked the blade of the sword. His expression was one of extreme excitement. It was as if he was caressing the hand of his first love, gently and softly. Suddenly, Old Master Tang casually waved his hand, and the sword energy emitted a cold and hot aura. Not only is the forging perfect, the sword patterns are also so profound and complex. Furthermore, it is a dual attribute weapon. The person who forged this is definitely a master of his generation. "I am no match for him," Grandfather Tang sighed. What kind of person was Grandfather Tang? He was a dignified spirit weapon grandmaster of the Southern Domain, the only one in the Southern Domain. He could actually determine that his refining level was not as good as the owner of the ice and fire sword just by looking at the Shen artifact in front of him. It could be seen what kind of weapon the ice and fire sword was. Ling Xiao was a little nervous. "Old man, can my sword be melted down and forged again?" Dual attribute weapons were rare, and weapons that were suitable for him were even rarer. If the ice and fire sword could not be reforged, then he would lack a suitable weapon to use. This made him feel somewhat regretful. It can be done, but it's impossible for it to return to its peak. Furthermore, this ice and fire dual attribute beast core is extremely rare. Our Tang family doesn't have any collection. Old Master Tang replied with some difficulty. This junior has already taken care of the beast core. As long as Old Master agrees, it will be fine. Ling Xiao said. Old Master Tang glanced at Ling Xiao, then said, It'll be easier if you have the beast core, but the materials needed for the spirit artifact. Before Old Master Tang could finish speaking, Tang Tianhao said impatiently, Little brother Ling has already prepared this. Little brother Ling, quickly take it out and let Old Master see your sincerity. Ling Xiao casually waved his hand, and two powerful stones appeared in front of everyone. Everyone in the Tang family had seen these two materials before, but when they saw them again, they still couldn't hide the excitement in their hearts. Old Master Tang, who was sitting at the top, was stunned for a moment. Then he stood up and walked away, his old eyes shining brightly. Such a big piece of 10,000-year dark steel and 10,000-year deep silver, this is too good. Old Master Tang said excitedly as he came to the two materials. Their Tang family had long been lacking materials to refine spirit artifacts. Now that these two rare top-grade materials were in front of him, Old Master Tang was also very happy and excited. I'll accept this task. I promise to return you a high-grade spirit artifact. Old Master Tang patted his chest and replied. In an instant, he had completely forgotten about whether Ling Xiao had obtained anything from the artifact forging pool. If that's the case, then I'll have to trouble Old Master. Ling Xiao cupped his hands in thanks. Over the next 2 days, Old Master Tang and Tang Guagua helped Ling Xiao refine spirit artifacts at the destroyed artifact forging pool. Although the main peak had been flattened, the artifact forging pool still existed. It was just that it was much larger than before. After some preparations, it could still be used to refine spirit artifacts using the Thunderfire inside. However, in order to preserve it for a long period of time, they would have to spend a lot of effort to set up a large array. Ling Xiao and Tang Tianhao continued to discuss the details of their cooperation. After some haggling, Ling Xiao used the 2 large pieces of materials to exchange for 10 spirit artifacts and 10s of high-grade profound artifacts from the Tang family, as well as a promise from the Tang family. Although Ling Xiao had earned a lot, in the eyes of the Tang family, they had earned even more. The 2 materials added up to more than 500 kilograms, enough for them to refine more than 100 spirit artifacts. This amount was more than what they could produce in 10 years. This was enough for them to make a crazy profit. Compared to the 10 spirit artifacts and 10s of profound artifacts, it was really not worth mentioning. In the blink of an eye, another 2 days passed. In the sky above the artifact forging pool, a strange phenomenon suddenly appeared. The image of a 9-headed ferocious beast appeared. The 9 frightening dragon heads were roaring non-stop. The surrounding Tang family members were scared out of their wits. Everyone looked at the image and felt a chill run down their spine. Some of the weaker ones were so scared that their legs turned to jelly and they directly fell to the ground. The 9-headed dragon snake was a high-grade 8th-level spirit beast. Its frightening power was not just for show. Its fearsome reputation had existed since ancient times. Old Master Tang and Tang Guagua, who were standing beside the artifact forging pool, jumped in fright. Tang Guagua was so frightened that he staggered backwards. It's actually the 9-headed dragon snake. This spirit artifact can definitely become a high-grade spirit artifact. Guagua, hurry and call that kid over. Old Master Tang's eyes lit up as he spoke. Tang Guagua did not dare to stay any longer. He immediately flew to find Ling Xiao. The condensed sword actually automatically broke free from Old Master Tang's hand. You've just gained spirituality and you want to escape? Not even a chance. Old Master Tang was flabbergasted. With a wave of his hand, a powerful wave of spiritual energy locked the sword in place. The 9-headed dragon snake in midair was enraged. It actually pounced towards Old Master Tang, looking as if it wanted to swallow him whole. Unfortunately, it was only an image. It no longer had the ferocious might it once had. It was dispersed by Old Master Tang in one strike. At this time, Tang Guogua arrived with Ling Xiao. "Kid, hurry and come over. Feed your blood essence to the sword and it will belong to you," Old Master Tang shouted at Ling Xiao. With that, he let go of the sword in his hand, and the sword immediately drilled into the thunder fire pool. "Brother Ling, hurry and chase after it. The sword has a spirit. Don't let it escape, or else it will be hard to catch up to it," Tang Guogua hurriedly shouted. Ling Xiao knew that Old Master Tang must have let the sword escape on purpose. However, how could this be a problem for him? He activated the element of wind and moved swiftly. Soon he was in front of the sword. Just as the sword was about to plunge into the pool of thunder and fire, Ling Xiao pointed his finger at the sword. A drop of blood flew from his finger to the sword. Before the sword fell into the lightning fire pool, it was stained with Ling Xiao's blood essence. Xiao! Suddenly, a wave of ice and fire spiritual energy blossomed. Even the nearby lightning fire pool was shaken to the point where it rippled. The nine-headed dragon snake's image appeared once more. It let out a few long roars before finally disappearing into the sword. At this time, a brand new sword appeared in the air above the weapon refining pool. The sword had completely changed from its original appearance. The sword hilt was shaped like a dragon's head, but also resembled a serpent's head, mighty and extraordinary. Aside from the complicated patterns on the sword, there was also a vivid and lifelike image of a nine-headed dragon snake. The body of the sword was suffused with a blue and a red sword chi, and one could already feel the terrifying killing intent from it even before it got close. It turned out that the sword blade that looked like a sword yet wasn't a sword, like a saber yet wasn't a saber, was also very different. There were actually sharp teeth on the blade, as terrifying as the bloodthirsty fangs of the nine-headed dragon snake. Just from its appearance alone, one would be attracted to it at a glance. This was a spirit weapon filled with killing intent. It was a spirit weapon filled with battle intent. It was an awe-inspiring ice and fire spirit weapon. Old Master Tang's old eyes excitedly looked at the brand new ice and fire sword. He muttered, "The degree of separation is as high as 90%. This is a level 7 spirit weapon. Heavens! I finally refined a high-level spirit weapon. Haha!" Old Master Tang's crazy laughter spread throughout the entire Tang clan, echoing endlessly between the Tang clan's mountain peaks. All of the Tang clan's descendants bowed in the direction of Old Master Tang. Congratulations to the old ancestor for becoming a high-rank spirit weapon master. Congratulations to the old ancestor for becoming a high-rank spirit weapon master. Voices of worship came from every corner. They were all descendants of a weapon-refining aristocratic family. Their dedication to weapon refining was not something ordinary people could understand. After nearly 10,000 years, the Tang clan had finally produced a high-rank spirit weapon master. How could this not make them go crazy with joy? The upper echelons of the Tang clan all rushed over to the weapon refining pool. They all wanted to see the glory of a high-level spirit weapon. Ling Xiao was deeply attracted by the extremely cool ice and fire sword. Furthermore, he could clearly feel the intimacy this sword gave him, as if it was connected by blood. "Come here." Ling Xiao waved at the ice and fire sword that was floating in midair. He did not use any spiritual energy, nor did he use his spiritual energy to guide it. The spirit sword seemed to understand his words. Like a swallow returning to its nest, it flew towards Ling Xiao. It even circled around Ling Xiao cheerfully, as if it was very happy. Old Master Tang and Tang Gu were dumbfounded by this scene. Although a spirit weapon could produce spiritual energy, in order to truly reach the realm of man and weapon becoming one with its owner, besides recognizing the owner, one also had to cultivate a relationship with the spirit weapon over a long period of time. Only when the spirit weapon and the spirit weapon became one could they reach this realm. You're tuning in to the Legend of the Vagabond YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.